Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. The system is too pampering, and rewards are given in various ways. Chapter 41. Ling Feng killed the top one on the Grandmaster list with one palm strike. Not far away, those Tianwu sect members who came to cheer for Zhang Tianming were stunned, and then turned around and left without looking back. Ranked first on the Grandmaster list, he was killed with one slap. What kind of combat power is this? What kind of monster is this? Does such a young and powerful person on the Tianbang list really exist? Everyone couldn't believe it, but they had to believe the scene that happened in front of them. They knew that from now on, things would change in Great Zhou. A genius who made everyone despair was born. The other side. After Ling Feng slapped Zhang Tianming to death, the system prompt also sounded. Congratulations to the host for killing the top one on the Grandmaster list, showing his combat power, making people run away, and getting one step closer to the invincible divine king at the transcendent level. Reward the host with 100 muscle cleansing pills. Closing square bracket. Muscle cleansing and marrow removing pill. Sounds pretty good. What effect does this elixir have? Back to the host. As the name suggests, this elixir can cleanse the muscles and cut the marrow, and improve the qualifications of the martial artist. With one pill, even a waste material can become a genius. In the Great Zhou dynasty, I'm afraid there won't be a few of them. This kind of elixir. I can't find several such elixirs in Dazhou. You gave me 100 pills at once. Ling Feng blinked. The host is the future transcendent level invincible divine king, so what does a mere 100 tendon cleansing and marrow cutting pills mean? Take it and use it. If you don't have enough, give it away. Closing square bracket. Ling Feng couldn't help but sigh. Having a system means being willful. Ling Feng happily put away the elixir, and then picked up the tiger-killing sword that fell on the ground not far away. This tiger-killing sword looked pretty good. It's a pity that he already has Qixing Longyuan. This sword is dispensable to him. Which of you wants this sword? Ling Feng glanced at Ji Yu Linglong and others curiously. Everyone looked at Hu Sha with fiery eyes. This is the 13th famous sword in the famous sword manual. Who doesn't want that? But with so many people, killing one tiger at a time is obviously not enough. Everyone looked at each other. No one was embarrassed to speak. Ling Feng was also in trouble and didn't know who to give it to. Junior brother, please keep it for now, and then make a decision after returning to the sect. Lang Ningxuang said. Ling Feng nodded. Okay, let's talk about it after we get back. Putting away their swords, everyone continued to go to the next resource point of Zan Shen sect. Under the leadership of Ling Feng, the people of the Zan Shen sect were no match for them. They were retreating steadily, and many important resources and places were occupied by Ling Feng. And their actions naturally attracted the attention of other forces. After all, Zan Shen sect is a piece of fat. There are many people staring at this piece of fat. The other three top sects have also come. Wangji Palace, Tianwu Sect, and Earth Dragon Palace, and naturally they are not willing to sit back and watch Ling Feng snatch away the resources. But soon, a piece of news spread. Zhang Tianming is dead. Zhang Tianming, who ranked first on the Grandmaster list, was killed by Ling Feng. The moment they heard the news, many people's first reaction was doubt. How can this be? Zhang Tianming is the #1 person on the heavenly ranking. How could Ling Feng possibly kill him? But the news became more and more true as it spread, and even disciples from the Tianwu sect showed up to testify. Everyone gradually accepted this fact and felt unprecedented fear of Ling Feng. Many people were even afraid in their hearts. This is especially true for the top leaders of the three top sects. This Ling Feng is really terrifying. With this person in White Cloud sect, he will become the top sect within a few years and even surpass us. Not only that, White Cloud sect also has Lu Rusi. I thought this guy had fallen to the ground, but I didn't expect him to be so terrifying. He killed the ancestor of the Zan Shen sect with one sword. With these two people, White Cloud sect is about to rise. Are we just going to have to watch them surpass us? The three major sects couldn't help but sigh helplessly. But there is no way. They can only unite together to seize Zan Shen sect's resources. Try to suppress the development of White Cloud sect. This day, outside the mountain gate of Zan Shen sect, several forces gathered together. They came here with only one purpose, to completely destroy the Zan Shen sect and seize all the treasures collected by the Zan Shen sect one by one. Inside the mountain gate, several elders of the Zan Shen sect could not help but look desperate. Zan Shen sect, the top sect in the past, was now in this state. Everyone pushed down the wall. These people are so hateful, fight them. A martial king elder from the Zan Shen sect said coldly. The other people also had ruthless expressions on their faces. The battle begins. The elders and disciples of Zan Shen sect started fighting with the forces led by the three top sects. The movement was so loud that it shook the mountains within 100 miles radius. Humph, it's just the end of a strong crossbow. That's right, just because you still want to stand up. What a dream. A man with yellow hair smiled coldly. His body was shrouded in a faint golden light, and a mighty giant lion seemed to be roaring behind him. This person was the palace master of Wangji Palace. 10th on the heavenly ranking, known as the Golden Lion. The Golden Lion waves its fists. True Qi is fierce and domineering, making it difficult to resist. In just a few punches, an elder of the Zan Shen sect was killed by him. Not far away, there is a swordsman. He was dressed in white, his sword energy was flying, and he had an outstanding demeanor. With one sword slash, the sword light splits, 1 turns into 10, and 10 turns into 100. Everywhere he went, Zan Shen sect disciples turned into dead souls under the sword. This person is number 8 on the heavenly ranking, the leader of the Tianwu sect. There is also the master of the Earth Dragon Palace. He is an old man wearing a black robe and holding a cane in his hand. He looks ordinary. But when he hit the ground with the crutch in his hand, a large amount of sand flew up and turned into a ferocious earth dragon, roaring out and tearing apart each martial artist. Number 7 on the heavenly list, Lord of Earth Dragon Palace. These 3 powerful men from the heavenly ranking are the leaders of this alliance. It can even be said to be the most peak existence in the entire Great Zhou. Under their attack, Zan Shen sect had no resistance at all, and soon fell into pieces. The mountain gate was broken, and there were countless casualties. When Ling Feng and others arrived, the scene was already a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Ji Yu Linglong swallowed her saliva on the side. I thought we had done enough, but I didn't expect these 3 major sects to be more ruthless. It seems that they not only want to steal the treasures, but also want to wipe out the Zan Shen sect. Tisk, tisk, Zan Shen sect was also a top sect in the past. I didn't expect that it would end up like this. It's really disappointing. Oh, what's the point? If we didn't have Ling Feng and Elder Lu Rusi in White Cloud sect, we would have been destroyed by the Zan Shen sect. Yeah, it's just tit for tat. No one sympathized with Zan Shen sect. The law of the jungle has always been like this since ancient times. If White Cloud sect did not have Lu Rusi and Ling Feng, it would probably end up no better than the Zan Shen sect. Junior brother, do we want to join the war? Ji Yu Linglong looked at Ling Feng and asked. Ling Feng glanced at the battlefield and saw that Zan Shen sect's defeat was a foregone conclusion. Whether they participate in the war or not, the outcome is similar. Rather than this, it's better to. A strange color flashed in Ling Feng's eyes, and he looked into the depths of Zan Shen sect. We are not going to join the battle. While they are still fighting, let's go to the treasure pavilion. When everyone heard this, their eyes lit up. It makes sense, it's called the snipe and the clam fighting, and the fisherman wins. As expected of my junior brother, let's go. Just when the 3 top sects were besieging Zan Shen sect, Ling Feng had already led people to the treasure pavilion of Zan Shen sect to fish in troubled waters. There are not many disciples guarding the Zan Shen sect's treasure pavilion. After all, people are now knocking on the door, but anyone with any fighting ability has gone to the front line. Haha, is this the treasure pavilion of Zan Shen sect? There are so many treasures. The foundation of the top sect is indeed extraordinary. The door to the treasure pavilion was pushed open, and a dozen martial artists rushed in. But not Ling Feng at all. It was the disciples of the top sects who had the same idea as Ling Feng and came to fish in troubled waters while others were fighting. Looking at the dazzling array of treasures in the treasure pavilion, the eyes of a young man led by him shone brightly, and the others were more like perverts who saw a stunning beauty without clothes, and couldn't help but swallow their saliva. The leading young man glanced at the crowd and said, "Look at your potential, please wipe your saliva for me." Senior brother Huang is the chief of the Earth Dragon Palace and the third most talented person on the Hidden Dragon list. He is still calm after seeing so many treasures. It's really admirable. A disciple looked at senior brother Huang and said flatteringly, "Okay, stop flattering me and put your things away first." Although senior brother Huang said this, he couldn't help but raise the corner of his mouth. "This time, we will empty out the Zan Shen sect's treasure pavilion first. After we return, the palace master will definitely reward us greatly." Haha, yes, this is all senior brother Huang's foresight, and he brought us here while others are still fighting for life and death. Yes, our Earth Dragon Palace is the biggest winner in this battle. Everyone was flattering again. Senior brother Huang's face was already beaming with joy, and then he directed everyone to start moving the treasure house. But at this time, the door to the treasure house was suddenly violently pushed open. A figure in white walked in slowly with a dozen people. Everyone looked at it and couldn't help but be stunned. I saw that the person who came was dressed in white clothes like snow, spotless, with black hair like a waterfall, eyes like stars, handsome facial features, a slender figure, and an aura like an immortal. His arrival instantly became the focus of everyone's attention. And he also noticed senior brother Huang and others. He was a little surprised, and said with a playful smile, "Someone actually wants to go with me." The visitors were none other than Ling Feng and others. "Who is your excellency?" Senior brother Huang looked at the sudden appearance of Ling Feng, his brows furrowed, and he was vaguely wary. The disciples of the Earth Dragon Palace behind him also secretly grasped their weapons, ready to take action at any time. A few people started to move their steps and approached Ling Feng. "Oh, who I am is not important. What is important is to put down the treasure in your hands." Ling Feng smiled. "There are a lot of treasures here. Do you want to take them all by yourself? How about we share them equally?" Senior brother Huang smiled lightly, but secretly made a gesture to everyone. When the people from Dailong Palace saw this, they immediately moved and rushed toward Ling Feng. They slashed out the weapons in their hands and directly targeted the opponent's vital points. "I just know how to use these little tricks," Ling Feng said lightly, standing still as true qi came out of his body. Boom! The terrifying power exploded, and before the several martial artists could react, they were knocked away by the oncoming true qi. Their muscles and bones were shattered, and they died on the spot. Lang Ningshuang, Ji Yu Linglong and others looked at this scene and were not surprised. Tisk, these people actually want to sneak attack on junior brother. Where do they have the courage? That's it, don't they know that even the former leader of the Hidden Dragon list who tried to sneak attack was killed? The disciples of White Cloud sect exchanged a few words. When senior brother Huang heard this, his pupils suddenly shrank. "You are Ling Feng of White Cloud sect. Now that you know it, do you want to get out or get out?" "Ling Feng, even though you are very powerful, there are so many treasures in the treasure house that you cannot eat alone." "So much nonsense." Ling Feng curled his lips, said no more, and took a step forward. He blasted out with a palm. The violent true qi surged out and transformed into the shadow of 10 giant elephants in the void. It is the power of the 10 images. As soon as this power came out, senior brother Huang and others were unable to resist them at all, and were easily blasted out of the treasure pavilion. Those with weaker cultivation levels fell directly. Ling Feng ignored the others and asked Ji Yu Linglong and others to start moving the treasure house. Everyone was very excited and stuffed the spiritual stones, weapons, secret books, precious medicines, and various rare treasures in the treasure house into the storage ring. Some people's storage rings are full, and they can only worry about looking at other treasures in the treasure house. "It can't be stuffed, it can't be stuffed. Junior brother, what should I do? My storage ring is not big enough. Let me come, mine is big enough." Ling Feng said that his storage ring is a transcendent level storage ring rewarded by the system. He raised his hand and waved, and each treasure was thrown into the ring. Not a moment, most of the treasure house was emptied by him alone. His junior brother's storage ring is really big. Tisk, tisk, the treasure house was emptied out in one fell swoop. Now we've made a fortune. After moving the treasure house, everyone planned to leave. But as soon as he went out, a large number of people came towards him. These people were from the 3 top sects. Looking behind them, everyone from the Zan Shen sect had basically been killed. Ling Feng was stunned for a moment. They were all killed so quickly. I thought I could hold on for a while longer. It seems that the strong men in the Tianbang are not vegetarians either. When the three powerful men from the heavenly ranking saw Ling Feng and the others coming out of the treasure house, their expressions changed slightly. In addition to destroying Zan Shen sect, a large part of their reason for attacking Zan Shen sect this time was to seize the foundation accumulated by Zan Shen sect over the years. But now, someone actually succeeded before them. They couldn't stand this, especially when the local Dragon Palace master saw the corpses of senior brother Huang and others on the ground. His face turned livid. You, kill my disciples from the Earth Dragon Palace and seize the treasure house. You guys are looking for death. The Lord of the Earth Dragon Hall was furious. True Qi surged out, and the pressure of the strong men from the heavenly ranking rushed towards Ling Feng and others like a roaring mountain and a tsunami. Lang Ning Shuang, Ji Yu Linglong and others couldn't help being shocked and took 2 steps back. Ling Feng stood still. True Qi's pressure also erupted. The 2 breaths collided with each other. The entire treasure house was shaken. This young man can actually withstand the pressure of the strong men from the heavenly ranking. Who is he? Wait a minute, I know who he is. There is only one young martial artist who can compete with the powerful ones on the heavenly ranking, Ling Feng, the current leader on the hidden dragon ranking. I'll go. I originally thought the rumors were just exaggerated, but I didn't expect this guy's strength to be so terrifying. Everyone gasped. Especially the young martial artists looked at Ling Feng with jealousy, envy and hatred in their eyes. Top of the Qianlong list. This honor is already what countless people dream of. Not to mention competing against the powerful ones on the heavenly ranking. Such a genius is enough to go down in history. Ling Feng, well, what a Ling Feng. I've wanted to meet you for a long time. Don't think that you are invincible just because you killed Zhang Tianming. Today, I will let you see what it means to have a sky beyond the sky. The seemingly old face of the Earth Dragon Palace master revealed a cold murderous intent. I saw the crutch in his hand and hit the ground. Suddenly, a majestic True Qi rolled up the sand on the ground, turning into a mighty and domineering Earth Dragon and biting towards Ling Feng, trying to tear him into pieces, fragments. Faced with such an offensive, Ling Feng refused to retreat or evade, and punched out. Fighting in troubled times. Boom. The Earth Dragon exploded in an instant and turned into ashes. The Lord of the Earth Dragon Palace also felt an unprecedented impact. His face changed slightly, and he took dozens of steps back. What a boy. He actually has the fighting power to compete with the strong men on the heavenly list. If this person doesn't die, his achievements will be limitless. Even, he will be the next martial saint. The Lord of Earth Dragon Palace was secretly shocked. In the sky world, there has been no martial emperor for a long time. In the Great Zhou dynasty, not to mention Emperor Wu, even martial saints were quite rare. The only known martial saint was the one currently ranked number 1 in the heavenly ranking. The heaven-splitting sword master whose divine dragon has seen its head but not its tail. At this time, the combat prowess and talent displayed by Ling Feng proved that he had the ability to become a martial saint. However, the more this happened, the more killing intent surged in the heart of the Lord of the Earth Dragon Palace. Since this son has been offended, then you can't stay here. The Lord of Earth Dragon Palace thought to himself and took action again. The peak martial master's strength exploded. It is several points stronger than Zhang Tianming, who is number 1 on the heavenly ranking. I saw him waving the crutch in his hand, and the True Qi rolled up the sand and turned into 9 earth dragons. The terrifying power seemed to set off a sandstorm on the spot. When Ling Feng saw this, Kixing Longyuan was unsheathed. The long sword was slashed out and the flying immortal sword technique was used. This is the emperor-level sword technique. Coupled with Ling Feng's strength, this sword technique shines brightly. The sword light flashed. It's like an immortal has arrived. Everyone looked at Ling Feng in the dust as if they were looking at a sword fairy. Boom, boom, boom. Just a few moves. Most of the 9 earth dragons were killed by Ling Feng. But at this time, a piercing sword light stabbed straight towards Ling Feng from the void. Ling Feng turned around and blocked. The 2 swords collided in the air, causing a harsh clang. The 2 of them retreated. Looking more carefully, it was the leader of the Wu sect who took action that day. He was dressed in white, with a cold expression on his face. He looked at Ling Feng with murderous intent in his eyes. Kill me, the genius of the Tianwu sect, elder. We actually met here today, so, stay. Take your life. Oh, it would be a pity to kill such an amazing and talented genius, but if you don't die, Wangji Palace will probably be suppressed by White Cloud sect in the future. Palace Master Wangji also walked out slowly. Both fists bloomed with a domineering true qi. As the golden lion phantom roars, murderous intent is locked on Ling Feng. When everyone around him saw this, they all looked horrified. Oh my god, this scene is incredible. 3 powerful men from the heavenly ranking actually dealt with a young junior together. This is simply unprecedented. This Ling Feng, even if he loses, it will be an honor even if he loses. But what if he wins? Suddenly, someone said weakly. When everyone thought about this possibility, they couldn't help but tremble in their hearts. Once Ling Feng defeated 3 strong men on the heavenly ranking. That will break all martial Dao records in Dajo history. Martial Dao will become a legend in the Great Zhou dynasty. However, this possibility is too low. This is a 3-day battle, how could he win? That is, stop joking, this kind of thing can't happen. No one thinks Ling Feng can win. The chances are slim. Almost impossible. The 3 powerful men on the Tianbang didn't think they would lose. If the 3 of them joined forces and couldn't deal with Ling Feng, then their lives would have been in vain all these years. Kill. The Lord of the Earth Dragon Palace took action again. True Qi combined with the sand and dust filled the sky, as if it had turned the surrounding world into a desert, and several earth dragons were crushing towards Ling Feng. The sand contains true Qi. Even the man of steel will be broken into pieces if he is hit by it. Seeing this, Ling Feng held Qixing Longyuan tightly in his hand, and used the Feixian sword technique. The cold sword energy soared into the sky and tore the earth dragon apart. But the leader of the Tianwu sect followed closely behind and attacked with his sword. The sword in his hand was filled with cold air. But it is Chu Shui who ranks 9th on the famous sword spectrum. The Chu Shui sword came out, and the force of the sword was like a downpour, boundless. Even Ling Feng felt a little bit of pressure. When the Feixian sword technique is used, the sword power also explodes. The 2 swords intertwined hundreds of times in the void in the blink of an eye. The leader of the Tianwu sect was knocked back dozens of steps, and the Chu Shui sword in his hand buzzed and trembled. There was a trace of disbelief in his eyes. This son's sword skills and sword power are actually better than mine. If I hadn't been higher in cultivation than him, I was afraid I was going to be injured in that confrontation just now. There is such a thing in this world. He was really frightened. The other side, Palace Master Wangji has rushed to Ling Feng. A pair of iron fists blasted out fiercely. Golden true qi is wrapped around it, making the roar of a lion. The wrath of the Lion King. Chaos fist. Ling Feng refused to retreat or evade, and kept punching with punches. Boom. The dominating fist is mixed with the power of 10 images. At the moment of impact, both sides were shaken back. Palace Master Huang Ji looked at the slightly trembling fists, his eyes condensed. What a domineering punch, what a terrifying strength. Sword, boxing, and cultivation, he is far beyond ordinary martial arts. I can be sure that if we can't kill him today, we will definitely be the ones who die in the future. The 3 powerful men from the heaven ranking joined forces and took action one after another. But it only suppressed Ling Feng slightly. This shocked everyone. It also made the 3 powerful men on the heavenly ranking even more determined to kill in their hearts. But Ling Feng, who was surrounded by 3 people and blocked all escape routes, was not afraid at all. On the contrary, he actually took off the wine bottle from his waist. In front of everyone, he looked up to the sky and drank wildly. When the drink enters the throat, the drinking makes you stronger, talent activates. The true qi he consumes regenerates quickly. Everyone looked at him who was drinking and was very puzzled. He actually still wants to drink. Are you afraid that you won't die quickly enough? Could it be that he wanted to get drunk and do a drunken fist fight? Oh, I'm afraid I've lost my mind and gone crazy. You feel like you can't survive, so you want to take the opportunity to drink more. Everyone was talking about it. But the 3 powerful men from the Tianbang were on the battlefield, closest to Ling Feng. At this time, they gradually felt a little pressure from each other. Ling Feng, who was drinking heavily, not only did not weaken. On the contrary, the breath is even more terrifying. Haha, so happy. It's really fun. Since my debut, I have never encountered an opponent that I can handle with all my strength. You three are just right. After Ling Feng finished drinking, he looked up to the sky and laughed. The next moment, unparalleled golden true qi surged out of him. True qi intertwined in the void, and then gradually formed a Beizong Dharma body. His body is as strong as a mountain, and his pressure is as strong as a prison. It's like the immortal king has descended and suppressed the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Exactly, immortal King Dharmakaya. Come, fight again. I want to see how far you can push me. Ling Feng smiled and raised his hand to slash out with his sword. Under the blessing of the immortal king's Dharma body, the sword energy is extremely magnificent. It's like a mountain range stretching out across the sky. The leader of the Tianwu sect bore the brunt of the attack and was knocked back dozens of steps. The autumn water sword in his hand was buzzing and trembling. He looked at the opponent with horrified eyes. This kind of power has faintly surpassed the Wu venerable realm. Is he going to become a saint? Ling Feng fought against the 3 strongest men on the heavenly ranking alone, and the power he displayed made everyone present feel frightened. He was seen holding a sword in his right hand and a pot in his left hand. He slashed out with his sword and took a swig of wine. Be wild and show your heroism. But the domineering, sharp and majestic sword energy made even the strong men on the Tianbang tremble with fear. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw it. Some people couldn't believe it. Some worship and fear. A woman's beautiful eyes were full of brilliance, revealing a look of admiration. Even the female martial artist from a hostile sect is still feeling throbbing at this moment. So strong. This Ling Feng is really like an immortal descended into the world. Ma Shang is like jade, and the young master is unparalleled in the world. Today, if I see this person, no one will be able to see him in the world from now on. Alas, it is a pity, it is a pity. It's a pity that I'm old, otherwise I would have chased him. Okay, you guys, don't be crazy. Now the palace master and the others are fighting Ling Feng. This kid will definitely die. But now it seems that the sect master and the others do not have the upper hand. Everyone was talking about it. Originally, they thought that if the 3 powerful men from the heavenly ranking took action, they would be able to deal with Ling Feng easily, but what is the situation now? The 3 of them joined forces and were able to suppress Ling Feng at first. But when the opponent cast the Immortal King spell, he was suppressed in turn. You two, stop hiding your clumsiness and go all out. At this time, the Lord of Earth Dragon Palace said coldly. He also knew that if the fight continued like this, they would not be able to kill Ling Feng at all. But as the strong ones in the heavenly ranking, they naturally have tricks at their disposal to defeat the enemy. This trick would not be used unless absolutely necessary. Now in order to kill Ling Feng, I don't have to worry about so much. I saw the Lord of the Earth Dragon Palace shouting in a low voice, and then, the true qi from his body burst out like a violent wave, combining with the surrounding sand and dust to form a ferocious earth dragon. This earth dragon is several times more powerful than the one he used just now. That huge body is even bigger than the Immortal King's Dharma body. It blocks out the sky and the sun, and in front of it, everyone is as insignificant as an ant. This is the 9th level of Earth Dragon art. I didn't expect that the master of the Earth Dragon Palace would actually practice the supreme mental technique of the Earth Dragon Palace to this point without making any noise. It should not be underestimated. The Tianwu sect master and the Wangji Palace master couldn't help but narrow their eyes. Looking at the powerful Ling Feng, they also knew not to be careless. They all also came up with tricks to suppress the bottom of the box. The leader of the Tianwu sect threw the Chu Shui sword in his hand, his eyes focused, and the sword power on his body began to shrink and condense, forming a complete sword intent. Sword intent. The power above the sword. Let me go. Tianwu sect master realized the sword intent. It's so powerful. He is worthy of being one of the strongest sword cultivators under the sky-splitting sword master. Even the owner of the hidden sword villa may not be his opponent. As soon as the sword intent comes out, the long swords in the hands of many swordsmen couldn't help but buzz and tremble. They looked at the Tianwu sect master with deep fear in their eyes. The other side, Palace Master Huang Ji laughed when he saw both of them showing their trump cards. You have already made it this far, how can I continue to hide it? Golden Lion Do Qi. Give it to me, open it. Boom. A burst of golden true qi erupted from Palace Master Wangji's body. True qi intertwined with him, causing his body to expand rapidly. A majestic and domineering feeling spread out. The ground beneath his feet kept sinking. Golden Lion Fighting Qi, a secret technique of Wangji Palace. It can make true qi more solid and domineering. No one can practice it except the contemporary palace master. These three powerful men on the heavenly ranking have all revealed their trump cards. How can Ling Feng cope with them now? I'm afraid he will be defeated. To be able to do this, he is already among the best. In this battle, even if he loses, it will still be an honor. Boom! The three powerful men from the heavenly ranking rushed out in an instant. The siege of Ling Feng began from three different directions. Every move is filled with surging killing intent. The power of the Golden Lion is domineering, and the Chushui sword intent is like a downpour, densely packed, completely covering the corners around Ling Feng. And the mighty Earth Dragon seemed to tear Ling Feng into pieces. Ling Feng laughed loudly, and the Immortal King's Dharma body was activated to the extreme. Fighting in troubled times. Flying Immortal Sword Technique. The two great Emperor-level skills were used one after another. Although his cultivation was not as good as the three powerful ones on the heavenly ranking, under the blessing of the Emperor-level skills, his combat power was not bad at all. The two sides collided to the extreme. Sword energy, fist strength, sand and dust. Various forces intertwined and swept away, destroying everything for miles around. The terrifying impact caused both parties to retreat. Come again. We must not let him have a chance to breathe. Yes, let's kill him in one go. The three powerful men on the heavenly ranking said coldly. The momentum was like a rainbow, and he killed towards Ling Feng again. Under their attack, Ling Feng's attacks were disrupted one after another, and even the majestic Immortal King's Dharma body was shattered into pieces. When everyone saw this, they couldn't help but shake their heads. We will lose in the end. Yes, in the final analysis, he is only a first and second level martial master. Palace Master Wangji and others are all peak martial saints, even half-step martial saints. Ling Feng will naturally be defeated by the three of them joining forces. No one thought Ling Feng would win. But Ji Yu Linglong, Lang Ningxuang and others couldn't sit still. Want to go up and help. But before they got close, the majestic true qi pressure made it difficult for them to get close. A battle of this level is simply not something they can interfere with. You three against one, you are shameless. It's in vain that you claim to be a strong person on the heavenly ranking, Senior Marshal Dao. I didn't expect to join forces to deal with a young junior. I have never seen such a shameless person. Although I can't intervene, but everyone can interrupt. They all spoke out one after another, wanting to use their words to disturb the three powerful men on the heavenly ranking. HMPH, how can this person be judged by common sense? Although it would be shameful to spread the word about 3 against 1, if you can kill this person here, it will be worth it. The leader of Tianwu sect said coldly. The other two people also agreed with what he said. That's right. In short, this Ling Feng cannot be kept. Just when the three of them suppressed Ling Feng, the leader of the Tianwu sect suddenly felt something was wrong. In the air, the aura belonging to Ling Feng gradually changed. The overbearing sword power was gradually exuding the sharper and more ethereal aura made him feel uneasy. Could it be? The leader of the Tianwu sect noticed something and his pupils shrank slightly. There was deep disbelief in his eyes. The next second, a brand new aura burst out from Ling Feng's body. Endless true qi, mixed with the cold and ethereal sword intent spread, and for a moment, the wind and sand in the sky seemed to turn into countless sword energy, stirring in all directions. Under this aura, the Tianwu sect master and others quickly retreated. This is the sword intent. This guy actually sensed the sword intent during the battle. How is this possible? The Tianwu sect master's face was as gloomy as water. To be able to become a strong person on the heavenly ranking, he is considered a rare genius, but even he took hundreds of years to realize a hint of sword intent. But how old is the Ling Feng in front of him? He actually realized the sword intent that countless people dreamed of during the battle. Ling Feng broke through during the battle and realized the sword intent. The powerful ethereal sword intent spreads, and the world seems to have turned into the world of swords. Within 100 miles, the swords in the hands of countless swordsmen were buzzing and trembling, as if celebrating the birth of a sword immortal. How is this possible? I have been studying swordsmanship for hundreds of years, and now I have barely understood the sword intent. How could he, a young man who is not a weakling, achieve this step and break through in the battle? The face of Tianwu sect master had a strong look of disbelief. Shocked, unwilling, jealous. All kinds of emotions stirred up in his chest, causing his sword intent to fluctuate violently. In front of Ling Feng's sword intent, it seemed that it was about to be suppressed. Master Tianwu, calm down. The Lord of Earth Dragon Hall gave a cold shout. In this situation, if you lose sword heart, you won't be able to make another breakthrough in this life. Palace Master Wangji said. Tianwu sect master took a deep breath and gradually calmed down. Thank you both for reminding me. It doesn't matter, after all, we are on the same front now. Palace Master Wangji said lightly, but his eyes still looked shocked when he looked at Ling Feng. Interrupt him. We can't let him continue to comprehend. Good. The three of them were about to take action. Suddenly, a scene that shocked them even more happened. When I saw Ling Feng in front of me, his sword intent increased crazily, reaching an incredible level. The Tianwu sect master's sword intent was vulnerable to the opponent. It shattered with a bang. The Tianwu sect master vomited blood and his face was as pale as paper. There was deep fear in his eyes. Impossible, this is impossible. In the end, what happened? Just now, Ling Feng relied on his two talents of transparent sword heart and transcendent level comprehension to elevate the Piaomiao Wushwang sword codex to a new level in battle. Discover sword intent in one fell swoop. And it was at this time that the system prompt sounded. Congratulations to the host for realizing sword intent in battle, and reward the host with a sword intent critical hit. Closing square bracket. Sword intent crit. Ling Feng was a little puzzled. And in the next moment, a lot of insights about the way of the sword poured out in his mind crazily. His sword intent is increasing like crazy. 1 level sword intent, 2 level sword intent, 3 level sword intent. Sword momentum and sword intent are divided into 10 levels. In the Great Zhou dynasty, a sword cultivator who could sense the power of a sword was already considered a powerful person. Such people are often Wuzong or even King Wu. And being able to comprehend the power of 7 or 8 swords is not a big deal among the martial lords. As for those who understand the sword intent, there are only a few in the entire Great Zhou dynasty. The moment Ling Feng realized the sword intent, his swordsmanship level was already one of the top in Dazhou. However, after receiving a critical hit with the sword intent rewarded by the system, he realized the first level of sword intent, and his sword intent actually increased like crazy. It was reached in one fell swoop. 9-fold sword intent. Now, let alone Dazhou, even in the entire Kanchong realm, in terms of swordsmanship, no one can surpass him. Ling Feng can be said to have reached the sky in one step. He has the quality to become the leader of swordsmanship in the sky realm. The 9-layered ethereal sword intent roared out from Ling Feng, covering an area of 800 miles. For a time, countless sword cultivators throughout Great Zhou felt something in their hearts and looked in the direction of Zan Shen sect with deep horror in their eyes. Inside Hidden Sword Villa, a mountain peak filled with countless swords shook crazily, and each sword made a shocking sound of sword chanting. The owner of the Hidden Sword Manor soared into the sky and came to the top of the mountain. An ancient sword on his waist was also vibrating crazily. He looked in the direction of Zan Shen sect with deep shock in his eyes. This aura, this sword intent. Even sword masters are rare. Is there someone who wants to become a sword emperor? The owner of the Hidden Sword Manor swallowed his saliva, and his heart was shaken. Another place. In a magnificent palace, an old man in golden robes looked in the direction of Zan Shen sect. His pupils narrowed slightly. This sword intent is actually above me. Another incredible strongman has appeared in the swordsmanship. The military generals of the 7 dynasties are coming. To me, the Great Zhou dynasty, I don't know whether this person is an enemy or a friend. He showed a hint of thought. And within White Cloud sect, Lu Rusi, who was drinking drunken immortal brew, also sensed the surging sword intent. She burped and looked in the direction of Zan Shen sect with drunken eyes. This sword intent, meow meow sword intent. Hiccup, my good disciple, it really surprises me more and more. Not bad. To celebrate my good disciple's further progress, let's drink 10 jars of drunken immortal brew today. Ha ha ha. Lu Rusi hugged the wine jar and smiled, minding his own business and continuing to drink. Within Zan Shen sect, many sword cultivators looked at Ling Feng, who was filled with endless sword intent in the sand, with horrified expressions. The long sword in his hand fell to the ground without any notice. Now, in front of Ling Feng, they are no longer worthy of holding swords. Feeling the surge in sword intent, Ling Feng was also slightly surprised, so this is the so-called sword intent critical hit. It's really good. He smiled slightly and looked at the three powerful men in front of him. Although his cultivation level has not improved much, Ling Feng feels that the three people in front of him no longer pose any threat to him. Impossible, impossible. There is no way you have such a sword intent. The leader of the Tianwu sect murmured that in front of Ling Feng, his sword heart had been lost, and he almost fell into a daze. 100 years of hard training. He finally understood the sword intent. But the young man in front of him realized sword intent for the first time and raised sword intent to a level beyond his reach. This blow is really too big. How could he accept it? Impossible. This is all fake. The leader of the Tianwu sect roared fiercely, holding the autumn water sword, and fired it fiercely towards Ling Feng. A sword slashed out, and the sword energy surged like a tide. But Ling Feng stood on the spot, slashed out with his sword, sword intent exploded, and the Feixian sword technique was used. No one saw how he drew his sword. I only saw a flash of sword light, like an immortal pointing the way, but there was no trace to be found. Bloody light bursts out, two figures intertwined. Then, the sword-holding arm of Tianwu sect master was cut off on the spot. You are no longer worthy of holding a sword in front of me, Ling Feng said lightly. Then, he turned around, his figure flashed, and he slashed out with another sword. The cold sword light was filled with surging murderous intent, and the sword intent surged, covering all directions, making it impossible for the Tianwu sect master to avoid it. The leader of the Tianwu sect only saw a sword light growing in his eyes. Then, his neck felt cold, and after a moment of spinning, his head fell to the ground. The leader of the Tianwu sect has fallen. Kill the strong man on the list with one sword. At this time, Ling Feng already possesses the strength that Lu Rusi showed when he killed the ancestor of Zan Shen sect in White Cloud sect. Run! The Lord of the Earth Dragon Palace roared, his heart was horrified and he no longer had the will to fight. Without him having to say more, Palace Master Wang Ji also knew that the Ling Feng in front of him was no longer comparable to what he had just seen. Kill the leader of Tianwu sect instantly with one sword. Then, it wouldn't be difficult to kill them again. Hey, where can you escape to? Where can you escape to? A faint laugh. I saw Ling Feng standing still, holding up the 7 stars long yuan in his hand. Where sword intent, endless sway. In a blink, the misty sword intent covers the land in all directions. Wherever the sword intent goes. 9 heavens are swords. The earth is a sword. Flowers and grass are swords. Wind and cloud are swords. Yellow sand is a sword. Ling Feng's sword intent circulates, the sword intent envelopes, using all things in the world as swords, forming an unimaginable sword aura. But the master of Wangji Palace and the master of Earth Dragon Palace, who wanted to escape, only saw everything in the sky turned into thousands of sword energies, surging in from all directions. For a time, the escape route and the escape route were completely blocked. They shuttled through the sword energy, trying to find a glimmer of hope. But it's useless. In front of the 9-level sword intent, they were no match at all. In just a moment, they were cut off from their limbs by the infinite sword intense sword energy. Lying on the ground, dying. So far, the 3 powerful men on the heavenly ranking who besieged Ling Feng were all without exception. All fell. This scene made everyone unable to believe it. There was even a strange dead silence on the entire battlefield. Some people doubted whether they were dreaming and pinched their faces. They couldn't help but gasp in pain. This is not a dream. It's true. He actually killed 3 powerful men on the heavenly ranking. Oh my god. How can such a monster exist in this world? It's not human. They couldn't believe it. But the facts are in front of them, and they cannot tolerate disbelief. On the other hand, Lang Ningxuang, Ji Yu Linglong, Zhang Ruochen and other White Cloud sect disciples looked at Ling Feng's figure with deep fanaticism in their eyes. Junior brother is mighty. It's so powerful. This is the strength of senior brother Ling Feng. He can kill the strongest men in the heavenly ranking at a young age. This is no longer the qualification for becoming a saint. This is the qualification for the great emperor. As time goes by, senior brother Ling Feng will definitely become a new one. Martial Dao Great Emperor. Good. Everyone looked at Ling Feng excitedly. Looking at the future great emperor, he is full of admiration. Ling Feng put away Kixing Longyuan and raised the corner of his mouth slightly. He had gained a lot from this battle and was quite satisfied. However, the matter was not over yet. He looked at the other people in Wangji Palace, Tianwu Sect, and Earth Dragon Palace, with indifferent eyes and said, "Your sect master wants to kill me, what do you think we should do about this?" What to do? What else can be done? Sect master, won't they let you be killed? What else do you want? Everyone originally wanted to say this, but when they met Ling Feng's eyes, they swallowed their words for fear of accidentally offending him. The strong ones on the heavenly list can be easily killed. Not to mention these little guys. I wonder what little friend Ling wants to do. An old man who looked quite old in Tianwu sect raised his hand and said. The sect master, the great elder, and even the genius were all killed by Ling Feng. But at this moment, he didn't dare to lose his temper. I can only lower my head and humbly want to calm down the trouble. Ling Feng said indifferently, I am not a big evil person. I must drive you all away and kill you. Within 3 days, you bring generous gifts and come to White Cloud Sect to apologize. This matter will be over. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind a visit in person. Ling Feng's last sentence was a bit cold. Everyone could tell that his so-called visit was definitely not a good thing. It's very likely. Destroy the whole family. They can destroy the Zan Shen sect, and Ling Feng, who can easily kill the strong men of the Tianbang, can also easily destroy them. Thinking of this, they lamented inwardly. White Cloud Sect. Why did such a monster appear? From now on, White Cloud Sect has the final say this week. Everyone did not dare to disobey Ling Feng's words, so they nodded in agreement. We understand. In 3 days, we will go to White Cloud Sect to apologize in person with gifts. Killing little friend Ling was not our intention. Please don't blame me, little friend. My friend, can we leave now? A martial artist asked with some anxiety. Get out. Thank you for not killing me, little friend. Everyone did not dare to stay any longer and left quickly. I just wish my parents had lost 2 legs. Ji Yu Linglong, Lang Ningxuang and others immediately came over and looked at Ling Feng with great excitement. Junior brother Ling, you are really too strong. Yes, you can kill even the strongest people in the heavenly ranking. In my opinion, junior brother Ling Feng must have advanced to the Saint Realm martial arts world. After hearing this, everyone looked at Ling Feng curiously. The other party shook his head slightly. I haven't advanced to Martial Saint yet. Martial Saint is already so good before he has even been promoted. Then if you advance to Martial Saint, wouldn't it take off? Everyone is looking forward to Ling Feng's future more and more. At the same time, they are determined to die in the White Cloud Sect. With Ling Feng in the White Cloud Sect, there is simply a bright future. As disciples of the White Cloud Sect, they will naturally have many benefits. For example, this time I followed Ling Feng to seize resources. The training resources obtained are not few. Okay, Zan Shen sect has been destroyed. Let's go back and recover first. Ling Feng smiled lightly. After everyone heard this, they all started to leave Zan Shen sect. They said they wanted to return to White Cloud sect, but they did not return immediately. Instead, he planned to have some fun in a nearby city. After all, after finally getting out, I naturally want to relax. Delicious, delicious, fun. Nothing less. Ling Feng didn't stop them and let everyone go. He himself also wanted to have a good time. On a busy street, Ling Feng, Ji Yu Linglong, and Lang Ningxuang were shopping. When they saw something they liked, they bought it and threw it into the storage ring. Anyway, he is not short of money now. Money, to him, is just a string of numbers. Suddenly, the aroma of wine wafted over. He sniffed his nose and his eyes lit up. It's a good wine. Although it's a little worse than Zhexian brewing, it's still a supreme grade wine. Following the aroma of wine, he came to a place surrounded by people. I saw a high platform with a jar of wine placed on it, and a large number of people below the stage, eager to try the wine jar. Friend, what is going on? Ling Feng asked the people around him curiously. Don't you know? This is the drinking competition held every 3 years in Zaxian Tower. Whoever can come out on top in this competition can get 100,000 taels of silver and become the first-class VIP of Zaxian Tower, and he can also enjoy the latest wine from Zaxian Tower. Countless wine heroes will come to participate. The man said. Zaxian Tower, the first restaurant in Dazhou. Their most famous wine is Zui Xian Nong. Ling Feng bought hundreds of jars in one go and gave them to Lu Rusi. This drinking competition aroused Ling Feng's interest. Everyone, the rules of this drinking competition remain the same. Whoever can finish the general order prepared by my Zaxian Tower first will be considered the winner. In addition to getting 100,000 taels of silver, the winner can also enjoy the latest brew of my Zaxian Tower. A dreamy wine. On the high platform, a man took out a wine glass. The wine glass contained wine, but it was just a small glass of wine. The aroma of the wine floated in the air, intoxicating hundreds of people in the audience. Ling Feng's eyes shone. This wine was even better than Zaxianzhong. Ling Feng has the talent of becoming stronger by drinking, but the effect of this talent is closely related to the quality of the wine. The higher the quality of the wine, the more amazing the effect of this talent. Therefore, Ling Feng's eyes were already shining when he looked at the glass of wine. Everyone, this is the latest wine developed by our Zaxian Tower. It's called nectar. The winner of this wine competition will get a jar of nectar. The man on the high platform smiled lightly. And many wine tycoons under the stage are already eager to try. As the drinking competition began, all the drinking heroes rushed to the high platform and began to drink wildly. The general's order is the liquor from Zaxian Tower. Ordinary people will be drunk and unconscious after drinking 3 bowls. The rule of the drinking competition is that whoever can drink the 10 altar general orders first within the specified time will be the winner. It is worth mentioning that during this process, martial artist cannot use true qi to dispel the alcohol, otherwise he will be eliminated. Gulu gulu. Accompanied by the sound of guzzling drinks, each drunkard began to exert his strength. Everyone was watching in the audience, curious about who would win the final victory. Hey, where is junior brother? Ji Yu Linglong, who was watching the excitement, suddenly realized that Ling Feng was missing and started looking around. Lang Ningxuang pointed to the high platform and saw that Ling Feng had already run up to participate in the drinking competition. When did junior brother become so fond of drinking? It's true that like a teacher, like a disciple. Ji Yu Linglong shook her head helplessly. Other people watching the excitement also noticed the young man Ling Feng and couldn't help but talk about it. Has this little furry boy grown all his hair? He actually imitates others in drinking. But this boy is really handsome. I have never seen anyone better looking than him in my life. It would be great if he could be my son-in-law. Stop dreaming. This young man has an extraordinary bearing. You can tell from a glance that he comes from a wealthy family. How can you reach such a high level? What's the use of being good-looking? The competition is all about how much alcohol you can drink. How much can this boy drink? If I can't make a bet, he will fall down. 1 jar, you think too highly of him. I'll bet you 10 bowls. On the high platform, Ling Feng held the general's order and started drinking heavily. Gulu gulu. The wine entered his throat and turned into warm currents. He once had the ability to drink 1,000 glasses of wine, and had the gift of becoming stronger when drinking. This was not a problem for him. Time flies. One by one, the so-called drunken heroes fell. Some people didn't even drink 2 jars. Hiccup. No, it won't work anymore. I can't drink anymore. This general's order is too strong. Vomit. Some people even vomited from drinking and fell to the ground unconscious. Soon, there were less than 10 people left standing at the scene. Among them, the most outstanding one is an old man who looks a bit slovenly. He is dressed in commoner clothes and straw sandals, with messy hair and a wine bottle hanging on his waist. Others drank less than half, but he had already poured 5 or 6 jars. In addition to him, there is another woman whose performance is also very eye-catching. This woman has an outstanding appearance and is absolutely stunning. But when it comes to drinking, there is no ambiguity at all. Ling Feng noticed something, looked at the woman, and then his eyes widened suddenly. Master, it's you. Why are you here? That woman is none other than Lu Rusi. Hiccup. Of course I'm here to participate in the drinking competition. There's free drinking here, how could I not come? Lu Rusi burped and said. Hearing this, the corners of Ling Feng's mouth twitched slightly. There was really nothing wrong with his words. My dear disciple, I didn't expect you to come to this conference. It just so happens that we, master and disciple, will compete to see who is the real master of wine. Lu Rusi was eager to try, with fighting spirit burning in his eyes. Humph, master and disciple, don't you think that I, the wine master, are no longer in your sight? At this time, the sloppy old man next to him said lightly. He looked over. Ling Feng also noticed him, his eyes flashed, and his eyes of insight opened. Wine Saint, ranked second on the Great Zhou Tian ranking, practicing the Dionysian art, reaching the realm of martial saint, proficient in the method of brewing, one of the bosses behind the Zhexian Tower. Information about the Wine Saint emerged one by one. Ling Feng was slightly surprised. I didn't expect that this drinking competition would be so crouching tiger, hidden dragon. Lu Rusi, the wine sage, and him. The top 5 masters of Dazhou's martial arts are all here. Oh, so what about the wine saint? Let me wait until you can drink better than me. Lu Rusi obviously knew the wine master, but she looked indifferent. HMPH, you and I have participated in no fewer than 10 drinking competitions. Which one has you won against me? The wine saint hummed. In terms of force, he is no match for Lu Rusi, but in terms of drinking ability, Lu Rusi has never defeated him. Otherwise, his title of wine saint would have been given up long ago. Drink. Lu Rusi pouted, picked up a jar of general orders and continued to drink. Ling Feng is also continuing. The 3 of them refused to give in, and the general's order in front of them was drank up one jar after another. Everyone was stunned. Let me go, what is this young man's background? He can actually compare his drinking capacity with the wine saint. Extraordinary. Tisk, tisk, but the wine saint has won the championship of several wine competitions. Even these 2 people can't drink him. Time flies. Another group of people fell to the ground. Soon only Lu Rusi, Ling Feng and the wine sage were left, still drinking heavily. But Lu Rusi's cheeks were red, and by the time he drank the 8th bowl, he was already a little unsteady on his feet. Although the wine saint also blushed a little, he was much better than Lu Rusi. Ling Feng, on the other hand, stood there, drinking alone, his expression unchanged from before taking the stage. Everyone's expressions gradually changed. Is this boy cheating? Why does it feel like he's drinking water? Did you secretly use true qi to digest alcohol? It's impossible. There are judges watching the wine competition, and the wine saint is also there. If this boy had used true qi, he would have been discovered long ago. Yes, oh my god, this boy is really fierce. Everyone looked at Ling Feng with deep surprise in their eyes. Even the wine master on the high platform looked at him differently. Good boy, could it be that he has grown up in a wine vat since he was a child? Ling Feng's drinking capacity was already incredible to him. No, good disciple, I'll leave it to you. Plop. Lu Rusi couldn't drink anymore and fell directly onto the high platform. Although Zhongjun Ling is not as expensive as Zhexian Brew, in terms of potency, it is a level higher than Zhexian Brew. Ji Yu Linglong and Lang Ningshuang quickly walked up to the high platform and helped Lu Rusi away. Before leaving, the 2 women made a cheering gesture to Ling Feng. Soon, Ling Feng was the only one left on the court, and the 2 wine sages were still drinking heavily. The conference has reached the decisive stage. Everyone looked at the 2 and couldn't help but start cheering them on. Drink, drink, drink. As the 10th altar general's order was drunk, the 2 looked at each other. He actually picked up the general's order that the other players in the field had not finished drinking, and continued to drink guzzlingly, as if he would not give up until the winner was determined. The drinking fight continues. The wine saint and Ling Feng have drank more than 10 jars. This has never happened in previous wine competitions. Because except for the wine saint, no one can continue to stand after drinking the Shiden general order. 10 altars, 11 altars, 12 altars. As General Yedenton ordered, even the wine saint could not hold on any longer. With drunken eyes, he looked at the young man who was still standing as steady as a mountain not far away, with a deep look of disbelief in his eyes. This guy's drinking capacity is so amazing. No, if I keep drinking, I will get drunk too. The wine saint shook his head and threw the wine jar aside. Although he was a little reluctant, he still said helplessly, I give up. As soon as this statement came out, everyone gasped. The opponent, known as the wine sage, actually lost to a young man in drinking. Real or fake, all go, this young man is really amazing. He can only drink 1,000 cups, but that's all. Massive, really massive. After so many generals' orders, his expression doesn't change. This guy can't be a drunkard. Everyone was amazed. They announced that from now on, a new wine festival is born. Ding. Closing square bracket. Congratulations to the host for defeating the wine saint in the wine fight and becoming the new wine saint of the Great Zhou dynasty. The host will be rewarded with a resource increase card. Closing square bracket. What is a resource amplification card? Resource amplification card is a card that improves resources. For example, if the host uses it on the 7-star dragon abyss in your hand, it can turn the 7-star dragon abyss into 2, 3, or even 10. The number depends on the luck of the host. The system explained. Oh, that's really a nice treasure. Ling Feng's eyes lit up. Boy, you are such a good drinker. How did you develop your drinking capacity? The wine master looked at Ling Feng and asked curiously. Oh, it's not something I learned through practice. My ability to drink is just natural. Master said I was born a drunkard. Ling Feng said with a smile. Born an alcoholic. Haha, interesting, you are much better than your master. The wine sage laughed. After the wine competition, Ling Feng left with the conference reward, which was 100,000 taels of silver and a jar of wine. We found an inn in the city and prepared to rest. That night, Ling Feng took the wine and slowly opened the seal. A strong aroma of wine filled the air. He took a deep breath, swallowed, and poured himself a bowl. One bowl to eat. A huge wave of warmth surged out of his body, directly raising his cultivation level from the 2nd level of martial master to the 3rd level. One bowl of wine has raised the bar by 1 level. My dear, this berry is truly extraordinary. Creak. At this time, the door opened. Lu Rusi rushed in, looking at the fine wine. His eyes lit up. Disciple, this is your fault. You drink secretly and you are not called a teacher. Master misunderstood. I just want to take a sip first and then enjoy it with master. That's true. Lu Rusi looked at the wine and couldn't help but pour himself a bowl. After taking a sip, his face flushed. It feels so good. Oh, look at you like that, you don't look like you are a teacher at all. At this time, a joking voice came from the window. But it was the wine master who had a drinking contest with Ling Feng today. Ling Feng raised his hands and saluted. I've met Senior Wine Saint. Disciple, there is no need to be so polite to him, he is just your defeated general. Lu Rusi said from the side, looking at the wine master with provocation on his face. The wine master was speechless. Didn't I just beat you in drinking a few times? As for holding a grudge against me so much. Besides, it was little friend Ling Feng who beat me in drinking, not you. You are so proud of yourself. Humph, no matter what, he is still my disciple. If he beats you, it means I beat you. There is no difference. Oh, what a pity. Little friend Ling Feng, how come you have such a master? Little friend Ling Feng, I wonder if you are interested in becoming my master instead. I can give you the Zaxian Pavilion. The wine master sighed, and then looked at Ling Feng eagerly. But as soon as he said the words, there was a cold feeling next to him. Lu Rusi was staring at him with a sneer on his face. If you want to steal my disciple, be careful, I'll skin you. It's just a joke, are you serious about it? The master of wine touched his head, smiled awkwardly, and then changed the subject. How about this wine? You old guy, although your martial arts is not very good, your brewing skills are still good. This wine is good. How much do you still have? How much? The ingredients for this nectar are hard to find. It took me 10 years to brew only 10 jars. It would be great to be able to take out 1 jar as a prize for the wine competition. Speaking of this, the wine saint was a little depressed. He originally thought that he would still win this drinking competition. Then this wine is still his. Unexpectedly, Ling Feng appeared halfway. 10 altars. Then there is more. Take it out quickly. Go, you think so? I gave some jars away to give away. There isn't much left. But if you want it, it's not impossible. Just agree to one condition. What conditions? Let Ling Feng be my disciple. Roll. Just kidding. I actually want you to represent Dajo at the Seven Dynasties Conference. The Wine Saint smiled, then said with a solemn expression. Seven Dynasties Conference. Ling Feng was slightly moved in his heart. What kind of grand event is this? No, whoever wants to go to the conference can go. Anyway, I'm not interested. I might as well drink at Piaomiao Peak. You guys, don't you have any righteousness for your family and country? If the Seven Dynasties Conference continues to fail this time, the territory of the Great Zhou Dynasty will shrink again. As a citizen of the Great Zhou Dynasty. Come on, don't do this with me. It doesn't work, and the Zhou court didn't give me a salary. Lu Rusi waved his hand, as if he was indifferent. The Wine Saint felt helpless, then rolled his eyes and said, It's a pity. I'd better give the remaining 3 jars of wine to others. Wait, what did you say? You still have 3 altars. Yes, give me all the 3 jars of fine wine, and I will let my disciple attend the Seven Dynasties Conference on behalf of the Great Zhou Dynasty. Lu Rusi said. Little friend Ling Feng, isn't this too hasty? HMPH, you don't know how powerful my disciple is. 3 powerful men from the heavenly ranking were all killed by him when they joined forces. It won't be long before this matter spreads throughout the Great Zhou Dynasty. Hiss, really or not? The Wine Saint took a breath of air, his face full of disbelief. Then, he grabbed Ling Feng's hand and passed by Tru Qi, but was knocked back by a powerful golden Tru Qi. Martial Dao Sacred Body, my dear, this is incredible. The wine sage believed Lu Rusi's words to a certain extent. Ling Feng asked curiously from the side, Master, what is the Seven Dynasties Conference? There are 7 major dynasties in the firmament realm. Every 10 years, these 7 major dynasties will hold a Seven Dynasties Conference. Each major dynasty sends representatives to compete, with the city as a bet. The winner expands the territory, the loser loses the city and territory. It can be said that this is a conference related to the destiny of the country. The Wine Saint explained from the side. Ling Feng suddenly realized that it sounded very extraordinary. Ling Feng became a little interested in the Seven Dynasties Conference. The Wine Saint thought for a while, then took out a jar of wine and said, I will give you 1 jar first. After the Seven Dynasties Conference is over, I will give you the remaining 2 jars. You guys can't trust my disciple. Lu Rusi raised his eyebrows. I believe little friend Ling Feng, but I don't believe you. Who knows if you will regret it halfway. The wine master curled his lips. After saying that, he was about to leave, but before leaving he said to Ling Feng, by the way, Hidden Sword Villa is going to hold a sword discussion conference in a few days. All sword cultivators in Dajo are invited to participate, and the winner will get the 2nd place in Dajo's famous sword manual. The Giant God. Maybe you could give it a try. After the Master of Wine left, Lu Rusi curled his lips and said, this guy still doesn't believe in you, and wants to test your strength through the sword discussion conference. Ha, the Seven Dynasties Conference is very important. It's normal for Senior Wine Saint to want to test my strength. Ling Feng said with a faint smile. What do you say? Do you want to go? If you don't want to go, let's not go. Lu Rusi said. The corner of Ling Feng's mouth twitched, but Master, didn't you just take someone else's jar of wine? Wouldn't it be better if you didn't go? What are you afraid of? If you don't tell me, if I don't tell you, who will know that I took his wine? Lu Rusi looked like a scoundrel. Ling Feng was silent for a moment after hearing this. It's normal for Senior Wine Saint not to believe Lu Rusi. All I can say is that the Wine Saint is really good at judging people. The Seven Dynasties Conference sounds interesting. I want to go and see it. In Dajo, he had few opponents. It's time to meet the martial artist outside of Dajo. Ling Feng is looking forward to it. Then go ahead. Lu Rusi yawned, then drank a jar of fine wine with Ling Feng, then fell down and lay down on the bed to sleep. After a brief wash, Ling Feng was ready to go to bed. But suddenly, he looked at Lu Rusi lying on the bed and was stunned for a moment. Etc. Isn't this my room? Master, what do you mean by sleeping here? Master, you slept in the wrong room. Ling Feng stepped forward and pushed. But Lu Rusi pouted and did not respond. Ling Feng pushed a few more times. Master, wake up and go back to your room to sleep. Oh, it's so annoying. I'm so tired. I'm going to sleep here today. Lu Rusi muttered and gradually fell asleep. Ling Feng looked on with a look of helplessness. After covering the other party with a quilt, he got up and left, carefully closing the door. Just as his front legs left, Lu Rusi, who was lying on the bed, opened his eyes and murmured, "This apprentice is really a piece of wood. Can't we sleep together? It's okay to use it as a pillow for my teacher." After leaving, Ling Feng went to Lu Rusi's room and slept all night. The next day, Ji Yu Linglong and others got up early and came to call Ling Feng. Junior brother, get up." Ji Yu Linglong knocked on the door. "It's so noisy that I can't let anyone sleep." Lu Rusi's voice came from inside the house. Ji Yu Linglong's face suddenly froze. Etc. Why did Elder Lu spend the night in his junior brother's room? What happened? A man and a woman alone spend one night together. What else could happen? Ji Yu Linglong had a bad premonition in her heart, and her face immediately became depressed. My junior brother is not pure anymore. Creak. The door to another room opened. Ling Feng came out, yawned, and greeted the frustrated Ji Yu Linglong, "Senior sister, good morning." Ji Yu Linglong was stunned. "Junior brother, why are you in that room?" "Oh, master was drunk last night and fell asleep in my room, so I came to her room to sleep." Ling Feng explained briefly. Hearing this, Ji Yu Linglong's depressed face suddenly became brighter again. "Very good. My junior brother is still pure and flawless. I'm sorry, Elder Lu, I'm sorry, junior brother. I shouldn't miss you so much in my heart." Ji Yu Linglong apologized to her master and apprentice in her heart. Then we happily went down to have breakfast. As for Lu Rusi, still sleeping, he didn't get up until 3 o'clock in the morning. After she woke up, everyone was ready to return to the sect. The next day, White Cloud sect, Ling Feng and others returned with a great victory and brought back a lot of practice resources. Warmly welcomed by the host of White Cloud sect and others. "Xiao Feng, you really gave me White Cloud sect a face this time. Yes, your reputation has spread throughout the past few days. Behead the 3 powerful men on the heavenly ranking. Zhao Feng, you are going to defy the heavens. Now the outside world is talking about you like crazy." White Cloud sect master, elder, disciple. Everyone looked at Ling Feng with great excitement. The other party's trip has raised the prestige of White Cloud sect to an unprecedented level, and there is a faint tendency to rank as the number 1 sect in the Great Zhou dynasty. And this is all because of Ling Feng's battle. "Oh, it's just a fluke, Ling Feng said modestly. But everyone knows that killing 3 powerful people on the heavenly ranking list cannot be explained by luck. The opponent's strength has definitely reached an incredible level." The leader of White Cloud sect said with emotion. "I didn't expect that in just 2 years, the young man who had just entered martial Dao would have grown to this point. It seems that it's time for me to abdicate and give way to others." Hear this. Ling Feng was shocked and thought of Lu Rusi's previous words. Is the other party planning to pass on the position of sect leader to him now? Became the leader at a young age. Wouldn't that be exhausting? Sect master, please be careful. You are now in your prime, why are you always thinking of abdicating your position to make way for someone more worthy? Ling Feng quickly persuaded. The leader of White Cloud sect also guessed something and rolled his eyes. "You are just afraid of being the leader of this sect, and you are afraid of being tired, right?" "Hey, no, I just feel that my qualifications and prestige are not enough to take on big responsibilities," Ling Feng said. "Listen, what are you talking about? You are still junior. You have killed 3 strong men in the heavenly ranking list and you are still junior. You don't have enough prestige. Do you believe it or not? I am now saying that I will give you the position of sect leader. Azure Cloud sect, up and down, there is absolutely no objection, and you are at the top of the Hidden Dragon ranking and will be on the heavenly ranking in a few days. Are you telling me that you don't have enough prestige?" The White Cloud sect master said, leaving Ling Feng speechless for a while. What the other person said seemed like there was nothing wrong with it. "I'll give you time to think about it. If you don't want to be the leader, I will continue to hold the position of sect leader until you figure it out before taking over." "Good." Ling Feng nodded and did not refuse. After returning to Piaomiao Peak, Ling Feng stretched his body and said, "It's really a golden nest and a silver nest, not as good as my own doghouse." Lu Rusi walked in and heard this, and patted Ling Feng's head unceremoniously. "You live in a doghouse. Ling Feng also knew that he said the wrong thing and smiled. That night, Ling Feng sat cross-legged and was running the Miao Miao Wushwang sword technique. He took out a pill and drank it. It's the menstrual cleansing Yi Marrow pill that can improve your qualifications. A pill enters the abdomen. Ling Feng felt that his meridians were broadened. You know, he is a martial Dao sacred body. He has 100 meridians and is far more tenacious than an ordinary martial artist. Unexpectedly, this elixir can actually allow him to continue to improve. Thinking of this, he continued to take out the elixir and drank it. 1, 2, 3. Take dozens of menstrual cleansing Yi Marrow pills in succession. Ling Feng only felt that his martial Dao sacred body had been lifted up a lot. After taking dozens of menstrual cleansing and Yi Marrow pills, Ling Feng felt that his martial Dao sacred body had increased a lot, and the speed of refining the spiritual energy of heaven and earth increased. It only takes 2 or 3 days. His cultivation level has improved again. One step closer to the realm of martial saint. It's a pity that after he took 50 or 60 pills of the menstrual cleansing Yi Marrow pill, the effect was basically gone. He planned to give the remaining pills to Jiyu Linglong and others. Although these people have good talents, they are still far behind him. It is necessary to improve it. After all, White Cloud sect cannot be supported by him alone. I almost forgot, I still have a resource amplification card that I haven't used yet. Ling Feng seemed to have thought of something. He took out a card, and then thought about what resource would be better to increase, and gave it to Kixing Longyuan. Well, that's not bad. This is the 7th most famous sword on the list of famous swords. It would also be a good thing for White Cloud sect if there were a few more. But then, he thought of something else. I heard that the 7-star Long Yuan has been kept in Hidden Sword Villa for decades, and no one has been able to make it recognize its owner. If there are a few more 7-star Dragon Abyss and no one can use them, wouldn't they be wasted? No, just change to another sword. Ling Feng took out another sword. It was he who killed the leader of Tianwu sect and got the Chu Shui sword from him. This sword ranked 9th in the famous sword book. Only 2 places lower than Kixing Longyuan. The most important thing is that there are no special requirements for using this sword. Thinking of this, Ling Feng smiled with satisfaction, and then crushed the resource amplification card directly. In an instant, the light of the amplification card enveloped Chu Shui's sword. The Chu Shui sword was shrouded in light. Ding! Closing square bracket. The host successfully uses the resource amplification card and obtains 100 autumn water swords. Ling Feng was stunned for a moment. What's the situation? This is the 9th most famous sword on the list of famous swords. Can you get me 100? What should you do if you make other famous swords on the famous sword catalog swollen? The corners of Ling Feng's mouth twitched slightly. If these 100 Chu Shui swords were leaked, the entire Zhou dynasty would go crazy. Thinking of this, Ling Feng suddenly smiled. Forget it, just crazy, what does it have to do with me? I, White Cloud sect, have an autumn water sword in my hand, can't I? Ling Feng decided. Tomorrow I will give the Chu Shui sword to everyone. The next day, Jiyu Linglong came to Ling Feng excitedly and said, Junior brother, do you know who came to our White Cloud sect just now? Oh, who? It's people from Tianwu sect, Wangji Palace, and Earth Dragon Palace. They brought generous gifts and said they came to apologize to me White Cloud sect. I see, isn't this normal? If they don't come, I will kill their sect. Ling Feng sneered. The sects of the 3 top sects wanted to kill him, but he killed them all. But isn't it the right thing for these sects to apologize? Wow! Jiyu Linglong looked at Ling Feng, her beautiful eyes filled with brilliance. Ling Feng was stunned. Senior sister, is there something on my face? No, I just think you are so domineering, junior brother. Senior sister, you are joking. By the way, senior sister, I have a gift for you. Ling Feng took out a few Jingjing Yimui pills and the Chu Shui sword and handed them over. He briefly explained the effects of the elixir. An elixir that could improve one's qualifications. As soon as she heard the effect, Jiyu Linglong knew that this elixir was extraordinary and she quickly refused. But Ling Feng said, Sister, I am already a martial Dao sacred body. This elixir has limited effect on me, so it is most suitable for you. And this autumn water sword, you can use it for self-defense. Holding the elixir and the sword, Ji Linglong's eyes were red and she was so moved that she almost cried. My junior brother is so kind to me. Wow, he must have me in his heart. Junior brother, don't worry, I will definitely work hard and I will never let you down. Ji Linglong said solemnly. From now on, you will be the sect master, and I will be the sect master's wife. It will definitely not be a hindrance. Of course, Ji Linglong didn't say the latter words. Taking the elixir and sword and leaving, she planned to go back to retreat, practice hard, and strive to break through to the realm of King Wu as soon as possible. After Ji Linglong left, someone else came to visit Ling Feng soon. It's Condensation Frost. Hey, it's senior sister Ning Shuang. You came just in time. I have something to give to you. Ling Feng took out the Chu Shui sword and the Jingjing Yimui pill. After the other party took it, his cold face was moved and his eyes were slightly red. Junior brother, why are you so nice to me? Ling Feng was stunned. Why does senior sister Ning Shuang have the same reaction as senior sister Linglong? You are my senior sister, I must treat you well. Ling Feng said matter-of-factly. Lang Ningxuang took a deep breath, hugged Ling Feng, and then said extremely seriously, Junior brother, don't worry, I won't let you down. In the future White Cloud sect, you and I will work together. Ling Feng thought this was a bit strange, but didn't think much about it. Well, let's work together. Okay, I'll go back to retreat now. Lang Ningxuang left with the elixir and Chushui sword. The steps are light and cheerful. He seems to be in a good mood. The next day, someone came to visit Ling Feng again. It was Zhang Ruochen. He had some doubts and came to ask Ling Feng for advice. Ling Feng was not polite. After giving some instructions, he took out the Jingjing Yimui pill and the Chushui sword, and said, by the way, senior brother, these are for you. Ah, I can't take something so precious. Senior brother, you're welcome. You and I are all family, so take it. Junior brother, I didn't expect that you would treat me as a family member and value me so much. Don't worry, I will assist you well in the future and I won't let you down. Zhang Ruochen said solemnly. After he left, Feng Xiaoyao also came. The other party came to apologize for what happened to the Great Elder in the past. Ling Feng didn't care. The Great Elder is the Great Elder, and Senior Brother Feng is Senior Brother Feng. How can you two be confused? By the way, Senior Brother Feng, I have a gift for you. Hiss, this is the Chushui sword, the 9th in the famous sword manual. Feng Xiaoyao was shocked. This is too precious, I can't have it. Take it. Ling Feng was already familiar with it and persuaded Feng Xiaoyao to accept the Chu Shui sword. The other party was immediately moved and said, unexpectedly, instead of blaming me for what happened to my master, my junior brother gave me such a sword as an encouragement. From now on, I will be safe and sound, and I will be my junior brother. Then it doesn't have to be so serious. You want what you want. Feng Xiaoyao said solemnly. After he left, Ling Feng looked at the more than 90 Chushui swords left in the storage ring with some distress. Who should I give the rest to? Speaking of which, his prestige in White Cloud sect is high. But there are only a few who can truly be considered friends. By the way, let's give it to the sect master first. They are the elders of the sect. I have never expressed anything. Now is the opportunity. Ling Feng had a flash of inspiration. Holding the Chushui sword, visit the White Cloud sect masters and elders one by one. If you meet anyone, give him an autumn water sword. Everyone who took the sword was moved to tears. Such a precious sword, give it away as soon as you say it. Sure enough, your love for this child is not in vain. Chapter 51. Boom. Today, on a certain peak in White Cloud sect, a powerful true qi suddenly erupted. A figure rushed out of a room. It was Ji Linglong. After taking the Jingjing Yimui pill, not only did her qualifications sublimate, but her cultivation level also made great progress, and she directly entered the realm of the martial king. With the Chu Shui sword in her hand, she has the confidence to compete with the top martial arts kings. All of this is thanks to my junior brother. Junior brother, I am indeed the lucky star, the right one. Ji Linglong's face turned red as if she thought of something, and her eyes were filled with peach blossoms. He actually gave me such precious elixirs and swords like this. He must be happy with me in his heart. It's really great. Suddenly, She sensed something and looked towards a mountain peak not far away. There was also a powerful wave of true qi erupting, and this true qi was faintly mixed with a hint of cold breath. Jiyu Linglong knew that it was Lang Ningxuang's breath. Like her, the other party also broke through to King Wu. I didn't expect that she would reach this point. Jiyu Linglong has always regarded the other party as her love rival. But now, she glanced at the Chushui sword in her hand, raised her chin slightly, and said with pride on her face, "It's time to let her give up. The person that junior brother likes is me." After saying that, her figure flashed and flew towards the direction of Lang Ningxuang. After arriving at Lang Ningxuang's residence, Jiyu Linglong smiled and looked at her who had just broken through King Wu. "Oh, senior sister Ningxuang, she has broken through." "Exactly, you came just in time, I have something to tell you." Lang Ningxuang said, "It's time to let the other party know that the person in my junior brother's heart is me." But then, she saw something, her eyes widened, she looked at the Chushui sword in Jiyu Linglong's hand, and hurriedly stepped forward with a look of disbelief on her face. How come you have this sword?" "Oh, it's a gift from junior brother." Jiyu Linglong smiled proudly, looking like a winner. Lang Ningxuang had a strange expression on his face and took out a sword from the storage ring. That sword was also the Chushui sword. How is this possible? Lang Ningxuang, how do you have this sword? No, this is a fake, right? Jiyu Linglong's expression changed. You are the fake. This is a gift from my junior brother. My junior brother gave it to me too. Junior brother also gave me the marrow cleansing pill. Did you think I didn't? The two women argued endlessly. At this time, Zhang Ruochen walked up in the wind. They came to congratulate the two for breaking through to the realm of King Wu, but then, they caught a glimpse of the Chushui sword in the hands of the two women, and their expressions changed slightly. How come you have this sword? Zhang Ruochen and Feng Xiaoyao asked in unison. Then, the two looked at each other and realized something. They all said in unison, "You have one too." The two were silent for a while, then took out the Chushui sword. This time, the four people were holding four Chushui swords, and they were all stunned on the spot. Today, it is a monthly elders meeting in White Cloud sect. Except for Lu Rusi, the lazy guy, the sect leader and the elders will all be present. They gathered together with smiles on their faces. It was obvious that they had encountered something good recently. One of them looked at the smiling elder across from him and asked, "Seventh elder, you are smiling so happily. Could it be that you got some treasure?" "Haha, I can't hide it from you." "What baby?" "I won't tell you this because I'm afraid you'll be jealous. TCH, I also got a treasure recently, and it was a junior who respected me. As a junior, I am incredible." "Oh, tell me." "I won't tell you because I'm afraid you'll be jealous." "If you don't say it, don't say it." Everyone was talking about it. At this time, the Lord of White Cloud sect walked in, and on his waist was a sword. The long sword was white and flawless, and it was Chu Shui. As soon as he came in, everyone's eyes were drawn to him. They all stared directly at the autumn water around his waist. The owner of White Cloud sect looked proud when he saw this. "Ha ha, the Chu Shui sword given by Zhaofeng is just to make me look good. These old guys must die of jealousy. How come you have this sword?" All the elders reacted fiercely and asked in unison. The leader of White Cloud sect was startled. "Why are you reacting so loudly?" The elders were silent for a moment. Then they looked at each other and turned their hands. A series of autumn water swords then appeared. Each one is exactly the same, exuding a cold aura. Everyone was stunned. What the hell is going on? The host of White Cloud sect had a look of disbelief on his face. On Piaomiao Peak, Lu Rusi was drinking and playing with an autumn water sword in his hand. This good disciple is really thoughtful. Although this sword is nothing to me, it is still my disciple's intention. It's not bad. Quote. Suddenly, she saw figures passing quickly not far away. And in their hands, they all held a handful. Autumn water sword. Lu Rusi was stunned for a moment, then yelled into the house. "Ling Feng, come out." Coming, Ling Feng walked out of the house. Looking at a group of people holding Chushui swords, I couldn't help but shrink my neck. "Good guy, what's going on with these people? Come here with a sword, do you want to kill me?" Ling Feng also knew that this kind of thing could not happen, but the master of White Cloud sect hurriedly stepped forward and asked, Xiao Feng, what's going on with this Chushui sword? He and all the elders have tested it. Chushui sword, there is no problem. It is indeed the 9th sword in the famous sword catalogue. But, how come there are so many such swords popping up so easily? Back to the sect leader, this autumn water sword was actually forged by a friend of mine. Ling Feng took a deep breath and said something casually. Everyone was stunned when they heard this. Cast. So many Chushui swords were forged by the same person. Then this person's casting level must be so earth-shattering. Ling Feng, are you serious? Of course, what did I lie to you for? The master of White Cloud sect looked at the Chushui sword in his hand with some confusion. This sword is indeed real. Xiao Feng, how many of these Chushui swords have you given away? Only 30 or 40 handfuls. The owner of White Cloud sect felt a little confused. There are only 100 famous sword manuals. Ling Feng gave away 30 or 40 handfuls of autumn water. Is it so outrageous? But what Ling Feng said next almost made him faint. I still have 60 or 70 here. Ling Feng took out the Chushui sword and fell to the ground. The divine sword that countless sword cultivators dreamed of throughout the great Zhou dynasty was just like a pile of scrap metal on the ground, making everyone's mind sway. OMG, are they dreaming? Even if it was a dream, this dream was too outrageous. Haha, good disciple, I thought you gave it to me specifically, but I didn't expect that you actually gave it to so many people. Okay, stop. Lu Rusi sneered from the side. Ling Feng saw that something was not going well and ran away quickly. Lu Rusi chased after him with his sword in hand. When everyone saw this, they did not continue to ask any more questions. On the other hand, the leader of White Cloud sect and others couldn't help but become ecstatic after being shocked. With so many Chushui swords, White Cloud sect, have become more developed. Yes, this kid Zhaofeng actually knows such a noble person. Haha, as expected of Zhaofeng, he is indeed extraordinary. Even the people I know are so extraordinary. With him here, why should I, White Cloud sect, not be happy? Ling Feng was avoiding Lu Rusi when a system prompt suddenly sounded in his mind. Ding! The host sent 100 famous swords, and everyone believed the host's lies. White Cloud sect obtained the famous swords, and his background was greatly improved. Reward the host with master-level weapon refining skills. Closing square bracket. Grandmaster level weapon refining technique. Is this okay? Now, I have become the weapon refining friend I mentioned. Ling Feng was stunned for a moment, then looked at Lu Rusi who was catching up behind him. He immediately greased the soles of his feet and ran away again. The master and the apprentice chased each other and circled the Piaomiao peak for dozens of times. In the end, Ling Feng was caught by Lu Rusi, beat him up violently. He is confident that he can compete with Martial Saint, but he is still no match for Lu Rusi. Ling Feng suspected that his master must have become emperor. Even more than that, after all, he had observed Lu Rusi with his insightful eyes, and the result he got was that the other party was the reincarnation of an immortal in the sky, and his realm was higher than that of Emperor Wu. And the other party also said it himself. In this world, she is invincible. Some time had passed since Ling Feng sent out the Chushui sword and the marrow cleansing pill, and on this day, the Lord of White Cloud sect found Ling Feng. I hope he will represent White Cloud sect and attend the sword discussion conference at Hidden Sword Villa. Ling Feng then remembered that the Wine Saint also told him about this conference. Hidden Sword Villa is a relatively special existence in the world of Great Zhou. It is not a sect, but a family named Feng. Since the ancestors of the Feng family once obtained a secret book of sword making and forged many famous swords, they took this opportunity to create the Hidden Sword Villa. The descendants of the Feng family, in addition to making swords, also learned to practice swords. In particular, the contemporary owner of the Hidden Sword Villa is a giant of swordsmanship in the Great Zhou dynasty, ranking 3rd on the heavenly ranking. His cultivation level is high, second only to the Wine Saint and the Sky-Splitting Sword Saint. This time, he held a sword discussion conference and invited sword cultivators from all over the world to attend. In addition to discussing the art of swordsmanship, he also brought out 10 famous swords. I plan to give these 10 famous swords to the 10 winners of the sword competition. This is not a small gesture. Countless sword cultivators rushed to participate. It can be said to be the largest kendo event since the founding of the Zhou dynasty. As long as you perform well in this conference, you will not only get a famous sword, but also gain fame and become famous all over the world. However, Ling Feng learned from the wine master that the owner of the Hidden Sword Manor had a deeper reason for holding this sword discussion conference. That is to select a powerful sword cultivator to represent the great Zhou dynasty, participate in the Seven Dynasties Conference, and protect the territory of the great Zhou dynasty together. Needless to say, the leader of White Cloud sect is going to this conference. After learning that Ling Feng was going to attend the sword discussion conference, Ji Yu Linglong, Lang Ningxuang and Feng Xiaoyao, Zhang Ruochen also planned to go with them. Come and see the world. Secondly, he will practice swordsmanship all over the world and prove his own swordsmanship. Ling Feng didn't find it troublesome. If we go together, we won't be bored if we have company along the way. Hidden Sword Villa is located in Wanjian city of Great Zhou dynasty. The name of this city is also named after Hidden Sword Villa. It is said that because of the existence of Hidden Sword Villa, most of the martial artists in the city are sword cultivators. Therefore, it was renamed Wanjian City. As for the original name, it has long been forgotten. The imperial court even gave the city to the Kangjian Villa, exempting the people in the city from all kinds of taxes and giving it full power to the Kangjian Villa. This kind of grace is unique in the history of the Great Zhou dynasty. This also created the special status of Zhangjian Villa in the Great Zhou dynasty. It was said that it was a powerful force in the world, but it also had close ties with the imperial court. It is said that he is an institution of the imperial court, but he does not participate in the affairs of the imperial court. But one thing is for sure. The strength of Hidden Sword Villa is extraordinary. Not even inferior to the four top sects. And just as the news of the sword discussion conference spread, Wanjian City was filled with people, and there was an endless stream of people coming and going. On the street, there are countless swordsmen, rubbing shoulders with each other. All kinds of restaurants and inns are packed. The store increases the price and then increases the price again. But people are still arriving one after another. The store made a lot of money, which made countless businessmen feel grateful for Hidden Sword Villa. This sword discussion conference greatly promoted the economic development of the city. Outside a luxury hotel, several figures came from the sky, but they were Ling Feng and others who had come to participate in the sword discussion conference. They looked at the busy streets around them and were quite surprised. This sword discussion conference is really lively. I can sense that there are several sword energies around me that are no less powerful than mine. Feng Xiaoyao said with a focused gaze. In addition to being lively, this Wanjian city also has many masters. Let's find a place to live first, Ling Feng said. He led a few people into the inn. Now, although he is a junior disciple of several people in name, in fact, he is the leader of the White Cloud sect. Several people obeyed his words and followed him into the inn. Just when Ling Feng stepped into the inn, a series of eyes came from all around and fell on Ling Feng. His out-of-place charm was working again. Who is this young man? He is so good-looking. Oh my God, there is such a beautiful boy in the world. This is the first time I've seen it. Is this the legendary banishment of immortals to the earth? Daddy, I want to marry him. With infinite charm, Ling Feng instantly became the center of attention. But he was already accustomed to this, and was not too surprised. He came to the innkeeper and said, "Can I have 4 upper rooms?" "Sir, I'm sorry, the room in my inn is full," the shopkeeper said helplessly, looking at Ling Feng, feeling that it was a sin for him to reject such a young man. Ling Feng frowned. This sword discussion conference attracted too many people. I still underestimated myself. If I had known this, I shouldn't have been greedy for pleasure and traveled around. He should have come earlier. Sir, all the inns in Wanjian City are already full. Let alone rooms, there is not even a woodshed. It's not easy for you to find a place to live, but I can help you. How about coming to live with me, sister? Sister, I promise to make you ecstasy tonight. A soft voice sounded. I saw a woman in red slowly walking towards Ling Feng. This woman has a charming appearance, a graceful figure, and an alluring charm in every gesture, which makes all the men present move. But some discerning people couldn't help but stare with fear. It's her, number 9 on the villain list, the Red Phantom. She actually came to the city of 10,000 swords. It is said that this person practices an evil skill that harvests yang and replenishes yin. Any man she likes will not end well. Tisk, tisk, this young man looks so outstanding, no wonder he is being targeted. The Red Phantom stared at him, with a hint of greed in his eyes. She has slept with countless men in her life, and there are even many who claim to be the reincarnation of Panan, but none of them can compare to Ling Feng. No matter the other party's temperament or appearance. They are all the best in the world. Even the Red Phantom was extremely excited at this moment. She couldn't wait to see Ling Feng being ravaged under her crotch. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but tighten her legs. Ji Yu Linglong and Lang Ningshuang looked at the Red Phantom and frowned, with a strong coldness in their eyes. Where did this naughty fox come from? You dare to seduce my junior brother? The two women hummed softly, a rare moment of unison. The two girls can usually fight for Ling Feng among themselves, but once someone dares to covet their junior brother's body, they will definitely be the first to refuse. Not to mention a notorious female villain like the Red Phantom. Relying on his good skin, he deceived countless innocent men and refined their primordial yang, just to practice his own evil skills. When the Red Phantom heard what the two women said, and then looked at the young and beautiful two women, a trace of jealousy and murderous intent flashed in her eyes. HMPH, you girl, you dare to be so arrogant in front of me. After saying that, she suddenly took action. Suddenly, sharp red nails stretched out from her fingertips, emitting a cold light, and stabbed towards the necks of the two women. Once he takes action, it is a ruthless killing move. Coupled with the fact that she was close to the martial master, the two women were shocked and wanted to draw their swords to resist, but a figure blocked them. The figure was slightly thin, but it brought an endless sense of security to the two women. I saw Ling Feng grabbing the Red Phantom's wrist with one hand, without any mercy, and squeezed hard with his 5 fingers. There was a click. Red Phantom's wrist was crushed directly. The severe pain caused her to let out a shrill scream, and her beautiful face suddenly turned ferocious, and she clawed at Ling Feng's face with her fingers. This arrest is vicious and vicious. Let alone being caught, even if it was scratched, it would still be disfigured. The female martial artists present all exclaimed. This Red Phantom, how could she do this when faced with a face that looked like the perfect work of the creator? Boom! This claw landed 3 inches in front of Ling Feng and was isolated by an invisible wall of air. The Red Phantom felt as if her fingers were inserted into a copper wall and there was a click, and her 5 fingers were shattered by the shock. Vicious and vicious woman, you deserve it. Ling Feng said lightly. He retracted his hand and pointed his sword. The Red Phantom also saw that Ling Feng was not simple, so he turned around and ran away. But unfortunately, when she attacked Ji Yu Linglong and Lang Ningshuang, the outcome was already decided. Ling Feng's sword finger moved. A sword energy flew out like an immortal guiding the way. SLA. Before the Red Phantom could run very far, the sword energy penetrated his body, and he collapsed directly to the ground, unable to die any longer. Everyone gasped. Looking at Ling Feng, there was deep shock in his eyes. This Red Phantom is 9th on the list of villains. He actually killed him with just 1 finger. What is the background of this young man? With such strength, he must be a martial lord, right? How is it possible that there is such a young martial lord? No, it really does. Don't forget, there has recently been a terrifying prodigy who has successively killed the strongest men on the heavenly ranking, the 7-star Longyuan sword master of White Cloud sect. Ling Feng. He is Ling Feng. Absolutely. Apart from him, which other boy has such strength? It's better to be famous than to meet him. This kind of strength is indeed terrifying. With this person in White Cloud sect, his rise is unstoppable. Everyone guessed Ling Feng's identity. Gradually there was a sense of awe in his eyes. Some female martial artists have beautiful eyes and are filled with admiration, but when they think of their status and strength, they can't help but feel ashamed. How can such a young man be worthy of me? Oh, I couldn't see anyone who was too stunning when I was young. When I see Ling Feng today, who else can catch my eye in the future? Oh my God, I met you but I can't get married. It's so uncomfortable. Many people sighed and looked sad. After Ling Feng killed the Red Phantom, he looked at everyone and said, White Cloud sect Ling Feng, who among you is willing to give up the guest room? I'd pay 3 times the price. Ling Feng said richly. The 4 words, youth and wealth, are vividly interpreted. But some people are disdainful. Ha, being rich is awesome. I won't let you go yet, let's see what he can do. Seeing no movement from the crowd, Ling Feng increased the price again, 10 times. 20 times, 50 times is not impossible. Those words made everyone dizzy. You know, the room in this inn has been sold to 1,000 taels a night, 10 times it is 10,000 taels, 50 times it is 500,000 taels. 4 rooms, that's 2 million taels. Spend 2 million taels just to stay for a few nights. OMG, no matter how rich you are, it's not like this. How rich and powerful this man is. Some people didn't believe it and said, you said 50 times, just 50 times. Do you know the price? I think you are just bragging. Ling Feng didn't defend himself and waved his sleeves. Suddenly, a pile of golden spiritual stones appeared in front of everyone. Amazingly, there are 1,000 supreme grade spiritual stones. And 1 supreme grade spiritual stone is equivalent to 10,000 taels. 1,000 pills is 10 million taels. It's enough to buy this inn. If you are willing to give up the room, please come forward and take the spirit stone. Ling Feng smiled lightly. I'll give it up. Sir, I am willing to sell it. The room I just booked not long ago is still new. Master, if you want mine, I can clean it for you. Everyone immediately said again and again. Once this is sold, the profit will be 50 times. Who is not confused? Soon someone gave up the room and happily left with the spirit stone. Ji Yu Linglong, Lang Ningxuang and others looked on stunned. Didn't it mean that Piaomiao Peak was too poor to uncover the truth? Didn't it mean that Elder Lu had pawned everything that Piaomiao Peak had and used it to gamble and buy wine? Why is junior brother so rich? Can you throw out 1,000 supreme grade spiritual stones casually? Junior brother, are you being too arrogant? Ji Yu Linglong reminded from the side. Ling Feng smiled and said, it's okay, it's just some small money. When everyone heard this, the corners of their mouths twitched. 1,000 pieces of supreme grade spiritual stones are just small amounts of money. Good guy, is this young man's financial resources so extraordinary? When did the White Cloud sect become so scary? Some people were puzzled and frowned. There are also people who stare at Ling Feng with evil intentions. Ding, the host spends a lot of money to show his great potential. Reward the host with 1 million supreme grade spiritual stones. Closing square bracket. At this time, the system prompt sounds. Ling Feng was stunned for a moment. I haven't spent 1,000 supreme grade spirit stones yet, but now I have directly credited 1 million supreme grade spirit stones. Can I spend more and more of these spirit stones? System, why don't you just call Shenhao system? Ling Feng complained inwardly. How can a mere divine system be compared with me? Host, you will become the invincible divine king of the transcendent level in the future. Closing square bracket. Not to mention millions of spiritual stones, even hundreds of billions are nothing to mention. The system said. Ling Feng nodded, yes, you were right. Soon, a few people checked into the inn. While waiting for the sword discussion conference to start, they also walked around Wanjian City to experience the local customs and customs. This night, a few people went out to play. It happened to be a local temple fair, and a few people had a great time. Suddenly, they saw a lot of people gathered together on a flower boat not far away, reciting poems and having fun. The title of the poem is exactly, Sword. Ji Yu Linglong asked curiously, who among us can write poetry? Everyone looked at each other. Apparently, no one does. Ling Feng shrugged, I can't write poetry, but I can copy it. For example, I just know one poem about swords. Oh, what poems does junior brother know? Tell me quickly. Ji Yu Linglong and others were a little curious. I just heard Ling Feng read leisurely. I have sharpened my sword for 10 years, but I have never tried the frost blade. I show you today, who has any injustice. After finishing the poem, many young talents on the flower boat immediately became silent and looked at him blankly, with strong amazement in their eyes. 10 years of sharpening a sword, the frost blade has never been tested. Today I will show you, who will have any injustice. What a heroic and passionate poem. What a poem, what a poem. Someone came to Ling Feng with an expression of amazement and asked curiously, young master, do you know who wrote this poem? Oh, it was written by a poet named Jia. Ling Feng smiled slightly. The surname is Jia. The poet surnamed Jia. Could it be Jia Sheng from the royal capital? The man exclaimed. No. Ling Feng shook his head. The person I'm talking about is not in this world. This poem was written by a Chinese poet in his previous life. Certainly not in this world. However, the man misunderstood something. He shook his head and said regretfully, it's a pity that we all have no chance to see such a poet. HMPH, the poet surnamed Jia is really making people laugh. This poem was obviously written by me, but it was stolen a few years ago. At this time, a poet rolled his eyes and stood up and said, this man has a sword on his waist and a jade crown on his head, looking very romantic. Seeing him, everyone whispered, this person is the 5th poetic swordsman on the master list. It is said that this person likes to recite poems while fighting the enemy. He is said to be endless in poetry, and his sword energy will be endless. He is very powerful. This man's poetic talent is astonishing, and his swordsmanship is outstanding. If he can write such impassioned poems, it would be reasonable. The poet swordsman came to Ling Feng and said calmly, I wrote this poem 3 years ago, but it was stolen later. Now it seems that you are the thief. What nonsense are you talking about? Yes, 3 years ago, junior brother was still at Piaomiao Peak. How could he steal your poems? Poetry swordsman, don't frame me. Ji Yu Linglong, Langning Shuang shouted coldly. He couldn't bear to see anyone frame his junior brother's innocence. But the poet swordsman continued, if it wasn't him, then it was the poet named Jia he said had stolen my poems. Hearing this, Ling Feng, who was originally indifferent, suddenly raised his eyebrows. Good guy, you can slander me. How dare you slander me, a Chinese poet? Court death. Ling Feng laughed angrily and said, you said theft is theft, but what evidence is there? Also, you said you wrote this poem 3 years ago, but why didn't you publish it? Until now, you were waiting for me to say it. Did you do it? Facing a series of rhetorical questions, the poet swordsman calmly said, I wrote this poem when I was drunk. After I woke up, I always felt that something was missing, so I didn't publish it. Unexpectedly, it was used by thieves. As for the evidence, HMPH, my 3 words, poetic swordsman, are the evidence. The poetic swordsman said proudly. As the 5th master on the list, he is known as the master of poetry and swordsmanship. When it comes to poetry, his words naturally carry a convincing weight. After all, they are certainly more willing to believe in the poetry swordsman than the little-known poet named Jia mentioned by Ling Feng. What the poetic swordsman said makes sense. He is a poetic swordsman. He has written countless poems in his life, so how can he lie and deceive others? That's right, it seems that the poet surnamed Jia mentioned by this young man is really a thief. Seeing that public opinion was turning towards him, the poetic swordsman raised the corners of his mouth slightly. What poems I wrote 3 years ago? This is all false. In fact, he didn't write the poem at all. It's just that this poem is really amazing and he likes it, so he has a desire to possess it. If he can be blessed by this poem, his reputation as a poetic swordsman will definitely be improved to a higher level. Oh, okay. Ling Feng sneered several times. He could have killed the poetic swordsman in front of him with one sword. But in this way, his reputation for stealing poetry is confirmed. As a descendant of China, how can he allow others to slander a Chinese poet? He said coldly, you said that this poem of yours was written 3 years ago but has not been published. So, how many poems do you have that have not been published? Are there many of them that can be called masterpieces? The poetic swordsman frowned and said, not much. Really? Then listen carefully. Today, I will make you, the so-called poetic swordsman, completely defeated. Ling Feng's figure flashed and he jumped onto the bow of the flower boat. He roared loudly and said, one body has traveled 3,000 miles, and one sword has served as a division for millions. The hall is full of flowers and 3,000 guests are drunk, and 14 states are frost-freezed with one sword. The 3-foot sword in the box on my back is a sign of injustice to heaven and to others. The ancient sword is cold and gloomy, and it has been forged for thousands of years. The white light absorbs the sun and the moon, and the purple energy repels the bullfighting. I am willing to put my sword down from my waist and kill Lulan. I can't eat when I stop drinking and throwing chopsticks. I draw my sword and look around at a loss. Raise your head to the floating clouds in the northwest, and you must have a long sword to rely on the sky thousands of miles away. Awakening of a day, the bright moon shines on my bosom full of ice and snow, and the mighty rivers flow. The whale has not yet swallowed the sea, but the sword energy has already crossed the autumn. If the Zen barrier is broken, beauty will be like a jade sword or a rainbow. The edge of a sword comes from sharpening, and the fragrance of plum blossoms comes from the bitter cold. Lines of poems related to swords were constantly recited from Ling Feng's mouth. In an instant, sword intent filled the sky and the earth, and the sword energy shook the sky. The resonance of the sword intent's sword energy actually caused the entire city of 10,000 swords to tremble, and thousands of long swords made a clanging sound. It seems to echo each other with the endless poems about swords. For a moment, Ling Feng stood on the bow of the boat, like a fairy in poetry and a sage in swordsmanship. Everyone was mesmerized listening to the poems he recited, as if they were in a world of swords, feeling the various emotions in the poems. What's more, people are drawn by the emotions in the poems, crying or laughing, happy or sad, and the scene is temporarily chaotic, which makes people stunned. Dozens of poems in a row. Every sentence is a masterpiece, and every sentence has a clang of sword intent. After Ling Feng finished reciting, his eyes were like lightning, and he stared coldly at the dumbfounded poetry swordsman. These poems are all related to swords, and I have hundreds and thousands of poems that have nothing to do with swords. Is it possible that these poems are all related to swords? Chengdu is what you did, how could it not be published? At this moment, everyone had already been impressed by Ling Feng. After hearing his words, everyone subconsciously looked at the poetic swordsman with suspicion in their eyes. But the other party was still saying harshly, "So what, even if you make thousands of poems, you still can't prove that the one just now was not stolen." "Nonsense." Ji Yu Linglong shouted coldly. "My junior brother casually recited a famous line through the ages. He is so talented in poetry, so shocking. How could he steal your poems? How could he even bother to steal your poems? Not bad. If you have the ability, why don't you write some poems on the spot? If you compare with my junior brother, it will be obvious who is better and who is talking nonsense." Lang Ningxuang also suggested. After hearing this, everyone felt that it made sense and looked at the poetic swordsman. But after listening to the poems recited by Ling Feng, the other party's heart was already in a mess. He knew that it would be difficult for him to write poems comparable to the other party's poems in his lifetime. How can I write poetry at this time when my mind is so shocked? See him like that. Everyone already knows who is true and who is false. I didn't expect that the mighty poetic swordsman would be this kind of thing. Could it be that the poems he wrote before were stolen from others? It's not impossible. Listening to everyone's words, the poet swordsman's face was so gloomy that he could shed tears. He looked at Ling Feng fiercely and shouted loudly, "Boy, don't try to confuse the public with your lies here. I, the poet swordsman, have lived an upright life. How can I do that? Are you going to steal other people's poems? How dare you frame me up and watch me punish you on the spot?" After saying that, he suddenly rushed towards Ling Feng. At the same time, the long sword at the waist was instantly unsheathed. The sharp sword light stabbed straight towards Ling Feng. Faced with such an offensive, Ling Feng did not retreat. His eyes narrowed slightly, and he stretched out two fingers to directly clamp the sword that was thrust towards him. No matter how hard the poet swordsman struggled, he could not pull it out. This frightened him to the extreme. You know, he is the fifth strongest person on the Grandmaster list. Besides the strong men on the heavenly ranking, who else can do this? Who is this young man? You are not qualified to write poetry, let alone use a sword. Ling Feng said indifferently. With two fingers exerting slight force, a huge force twisted the poetic swordsman's wrist, causing him to spin in the air and then fall to the ground. The long sword in his hand also came out. Before he could react, a sword light fell on his neck. Ling Feng said indifferently, "Answer me now, who wrote that poem?" The poetic swordsman was already pale with fright. In front of this young man, he felt as small as an ant. The other party only needs one thought to kill him completely. "Yes, you wrote it. I just coveted that poem and wanted to take it as my own. I have admitted it, now please let me go," the poetic swordsman said again and again. He obviously cherishes life more than fame. However, Ling Feng looked at him with indifferent eyes and said, "Since I have admitted it, I will give you a chance to commit suicide." "What, you actually want to kill me? Didn't you also want to kill me just now?" Ling Feng snorted lightly. The other party's insult to the Chinese poet was already a capital offense in his mind. Not to mention, the other party had just made a ruthless attack. If he hadn't been strong, he would have died in the hands of the other party. How could he show mercy to such a villain? You really want to do something so awesome. Don't let me do it myself." The poetic swordsman's eyes were red and bulging fiercely, and he was about to make a last-ditch effort. He picked up the long sword on the ground and slashed at Ling Feng's head with all his strength, but before he could touch Ling Feng, he was able to block it with a layer of body protection true qi. "Since you don't commit suicide, let me help you." Ling Feng's sword pointed. A flash of sword light came out from the fingertips. SLA. The sword breaks. The sharp sword light penetrated directly through the poetic swordsman's head. The opponent's body softened and fell directly to the ground, completely dead. Ding. Closing square bracket. The host protects Chinese poetry human venerable strictly, shocks people with poems, punishes those who deceive the world and steal reputation, and rewards the host for his awe-inspiring righteousness. Closing square bracket. Ling Feng's eyes lit up. Haoran is upright. This sounds great. System, what's the use of this Haoran's righteousness? Haoran's righteousness is a special talent. With Haoran's righteousness in the body, what the host can say and do will be more convincing. Moreover, Haoran's righteousness can also exorcise evil spirits and have a restraining effect on evil forces. Ling Feng nodded. Although the system described Haoran's righteousness as mysterious, he didn't understand very well, but he understood one thing. That is this awe-inspiring righteousness, which is a good thing. Oh, I didn't expect that the mighty poetic swordsman would end up like this. It's really sad. Yes, he is also a strong swordsman of his generation. Bah, this kind of person who deceives the world and steals fame is best dead. Didn't you see what he looked like just now? He has no dignity at all and he still wants to sneak attack. That's right, I was really blind before, but I still worshipped him. Everyone looked at the poetic swordsman on the ground. Some felt sorry for him, some were filled with emotion, but most of them expressed disdain and contempt. Ling Feng didn't say anything more, jumped off the flower boat, took Jiyu Linglong, Lang Ningxuang and others away. On the road, Lang Ningxuang and Jiyu Linglong couldn't help but look at Ling Feng with admiration. "I didn't expect that, junior brother. In addition to your extraordinary cultivation, you also know how to recite poems and compose poems. It's really surprising. Junior brother, do you have any other surprises that we don't know about?" Ling Feng smiled lightly. "Actually, I didn't write those poems. I just copied them from others, but those people are not in this world." "Really? Then why haven't these poems been spread?" Well, Ling Feng didn't know how to explain it for a moment. Jiyu Linglong and others looked suddenly enlightened. "I understand, junior brother, you are keeping a low profile, right?" "I see, but that's right, it's better to keep a low profile." Everyone looked at Ling Feng with even more admiration in their eyes. High in strength, good in talent, and yet so humble. Junior brother, he is really great. Ling Feng looked at everyone's enthusiastic gazes, sighed helplessly, and didn't bother to explain, so he led everyone back to the inn to rest. But he underestimated the impact of his poems. The next day, throughout the city of 10,000 swords, countless sword cultivators were discussing the poem that resounded throughout the city and resonated with 10,000 swords. The hall is full of flowers and 3,000 guests are drunk, and 14 states are frost-freezed with one sword. Okay, what a one-sword frost-cold 14 states. As a sword cultivator, this is what you should do. The person who wrote this poem is really a peerless poetic talent. I have fought for 3,000 miles, and my sword has been the master of millions. I really don't know how heroic a person is to write such a heroic poem. What I like most is this sentence. The sharp edge of the sword comes from sharpening, and the fragrance of plum blossoms comes from the bitter cold. This sentence is high-spirited and uplifting. It takes the suffering and cold as the nutrients for growth, just to temper the final peerless edge. For our generation to practice hard for sword cultivators, this is a perfect explanation. What a talent it is that can write these poems. I know who it is. It's Ling Feng from White Cloud sect. He killed the poetic swordsman yesterday. It turns out that the poetic swordsman was just a deceitful person who stole his reputation. People all over the city were talking about what happened last night. Ling Feng's name resounds throughout Wanjian City. The sword discussion conference has not yet begun, and he has already become famous. Now, whenever Ling Feng goes out, he will attract a large crowd of people. Many people even come up to him with pens and paper to ask for his signature. This made him afraid to go out easily. I can only stay in the inn and wait obediently for the sword discussion conference to arrive. These people are so crazy, Ling Feng said helplessly. Yes, those guys actually dared to touch junior brother. They are really committing a heinous crime. Ji Yu Linglong gritted her teeth at the side. She went out with Ling Feng today. While walking on the road, suddenly a large group of women surrounded Ling Feng and asked for her autograph. Ling Feng was completely surrounded. In the chaos, she actually saw someone touching Ling Feng's butt. This made her so angry that she took Ling Feng back to the inn. Time flies. Another 2 days passed. With everyone eagerly anticipating it, the sword discussion conference has officially begun. The sword discussion conference has begun. Within Hidden Sword Villa, a huge arena rose from the ground. All around the arena, all the heroes have arrived. Among them are many sword cultivators on the master list. Everyone is gearing up and preparing to show off their talents. The winner of this sword discussion competition will get a famous sword. I must get it. No one can try to steal it from me. 10 famous swords, I have to get one no matter what. Tisk, tisk, with my skills as a fire swordsman, can't I get a famous sword at my fingertips? I want to see who is my opponent. The scale of this sword discussion conference is so large that it can be said to be the most grand swordsmanship event in the history of the Great Zhou dynasty. The sword cultivators here are like crucian carp crossing the river. They are countless. There is no telling how many famous masters will appear among them. Young and handsome man, tisk, it's really exciting. Just when everyone was talking about it, not far away, several figures walked slowly towards them. The leader of them was dressed in white clothes like snow, with sword-shaped eyebrows and bright eyes, and an outstanding temperament, just like the arrival of a banished immortal. It was Ling Feng and several young talents from White Cloud sect. As soon as he arrived, everyone couldn't help but be attracted to him. Looking at him, his eyes were shining. Ling Feng, he is indeed here to participate in this sword discussion conference. I don't know if the others will become famous, but this person is enough to leave a mark in the history of martial arts in the Great Zhou dynasty. I heard that Da Zhou is already preparing to put him on the heavenly list. Such a young expert from the heavenly ranking is really amazing. Whoosh! Within Hidden Sword Villa, several figures flew out. The first one among them has gray hair on his temples, but he has a handsome appearance. He is a rare handsome uncle, and he is also the current owner of Hidden Sword Villa. Its name is Feng Zhengyang, third on the great weekly list. Ha! You are indeed a young hero. At such an age and with such cultivation, it is no wonder that Kixing Longyuan will recognize you as his master. Feng Zhengyang looked at Ling Feng and smiled slightly. Ling Feng heard this and touched his nose, feeling a little embarrassed. Because as far as he knew, the 7-star Longyuan in his hand originally belonged to Hidden Sword Villa, but Lu Rusi came and snatched it away. However, Feng Zhengyang had no complaints about this. He looked at Ling Feng with admiration in his eyes. I heard that you killed the poetic swordsman a few days ago. Yes, the village owner knows this person. Ling Feng was a little wary. Is it possible that this person is friends with the poetic swordsman and is now seeking revenge on him? Haha, good kill. The poet swordsman deceives the world and steals his reputation, secretly buys and sells poetry, and even claims that he wrote it himself. I have long been unhappy with him. Feng Zhengyang laughed and said. Ling Feng was relieved. I'm looking forward to your performance in this sword competition. Feng Zhengyang looked at Ling Feng with a smile. Then his figure flashed and disappeared. Only 2 old men were left to preside over this sword discussion conference. The rules of the conference are also very simple. It's just a competition. The swordsman takes the stage and accepts the challenge from others. Then Feng Zhengyang and several other highly respected sword cultivators acted as judges to select the 10 most outstanding sword cultivators. After the conference started, someone jumped onto the stage. The man was dressed in a long robe, his sword energy was flying. He looked at the White Cloud sect and the others with lightning eyes, and said calmly, Lu Yong of the Tianwu sect, I wonder who of you from the White Cloud sect would be willing to come up and give me some advice. He will challenge the White Cloud sect's people as soon as he opens his mouth. Obviously he was unhappy with the White Cloud sect, but it was normal. The heads of the 3 top sects all died at the hands of Ling Feng. It was strange that they were happy. Then, Ling Feng nodded slightly and stood up to get on the ring. But Lu Yong immediately shrank his neck and said in fear, Ling Feng, don't come up, I know I'm no match for you, and you, a mighty martial lord, are you going to use your realm to suppress me, a little martial sect? Well, Ling Feng felt that he was indeed bullying others when he came on stage. At this time, Feng Xiaoyao stood up and said, to deal with a martial sect, why does junior brother Ling Feng need to take action himself? It's more than enough for me to do it. With a whoosh, Feng Xiaoyao stepped onto the ring. The autumn water sword in his hand suddenly came out of its sheath. Everyone couldn't help but exclaimed when they saw this sword. It's Chu Shui. Chu Shui ranks 9th on the famous sword spectrum. I didn't expect this sword to fall into his hands. Many swordsmen looked at Chu Shui Jian with fiery eyes. Especially Lu Yong, with even more anger in his eyes. This sword is originally the sword of my Tianwu sect leader. Give it back to me. Oh, you mean this sword? I have a lot of White Cloud sect. Hearing this, everyone was speechless. This is the autumn water sword. The 9th famous sword score. Do you still have a lot of White Cloud sect? There is no such thing as bragging. Nonsense. Lu Yong snorted softly and rushed towards Feng Xiaoyao. Feng Xiaoyao was not to be outdone. The hurricane weapon is activated. The speed became extremely fast. The autumn water in his hand kept slashing out, and the sword energy flew like an all-pervasive storm. After a while, Lu Yong was suppressed on the opposite side. A sword energy slashed out. Lu Yong couldn't dodge and was cut off from the ring with a sword. So weak. Feng Xiaoyao shook his head. But he knew that his current level of cultivation was all due to the Jingjing Yumui pill given by Ling Feng. Otherwise, he would not have been able to break through to this realm. I didn't expect that apart from Ling Feng, White Cloud sect's disciples would actually reach the level of top martial arts masters. White Cloud sect is really going to rise. Some people sighed secretly. Whoosh. At this time, another big man rushed onto the ring. The person who came was holding a huge red sword in his hand. The sword energy was so violent that it seemed to be burning with raging fire. Wangji Palace is here to ask for advice. Another disciple of a top sect. But before the two sides started fighting, Ji Yu Linglong at the bottom couldn't sit still. Senior brother Feng, come down. This person asked me to come, and let me show my performance to my junior sister. Several of them came here to practice and prove their swordsmanship. Of course we have to take action. And the higher the opponent's strength, the better. Feng Xiaoyao looked at her, then glanced at the opponent opposite with pity and said, you are not very lucky, just wait for defeat. He knew that Ji Yu Linglong had been promoted to King of Martial Arts. The cultivation level is higher than him. HMPH, what strength can a mere girl have? The big man opposite said disdainfully, but Ji Yu Linglong smiled slightly, then took out the Chu Shui sword, and the cold sword energy was immediately aimed at the opponent. This scene made everyone a little stunned. What is going on? Another autumn water sword? No, this is a counterfeit, right? But the sword energy is not very similar. When everyone was confused, Ji Yu Linglong and the big man were already fighting together. And it didn't last 10 rounds. The seemingly indestructible heavy sword in the big man's hand was actually split into 2 pieces by a sword, and the cold sword energy swept the opponent off the ring. Everyone gasped. It's the real deal. Why are there 2 autumn water swords? Everyone was talking about it. After Ji Yu Linglong defeated the big man, she stood with a sword and looked heroic. But at this time, Lang Ningxuang jumped onto the ring. Next, it's my turn. Ji Yu Linglong curled her lips and said, I haven't had enough fun yet. But he still got off the stage. The sword light in Lang Ningxuang's hand flashed, and another autumn water sword appeared. She pointed the sword at the hero, and the cold sword energy spread. I wonder who would like to come up and learn from me. Everyone looked at the autumn water in her hand and were stunned. What exactly is going on? They thought of Feng Xiaoyao's words. We have a lot of White Cloud sect with this sword. Is this White Cloud sect really a sword in human hands? I'll go. White Cloud sect is cheating, I don't accept it. Lang Ningxuang held the autumn water sword in his hand and glanced at the people below. Everyone looked at the autumn water in her hand with dull expressions on their faces. This is the 9th famous sword in the famous sword book. How come the disciples of White Cloud sect are all alone? Let's cheat. The owner of Hidden Sword Villa, Feng Zhengyang, and several other elders could not help but twitch the corners of their mouths, with deep shock in their eyes. Elders, what do you think of these autumn water swords? Based on my many years of sword-making experience, these Chushui swords should be genuine and not imitations. But why are there so many Chushui swords? Unless the White Cloud sect has a powerful swordsmith with earth-shattering skills, this kind of thing can't happen. White Cloud sect, it's so hidden. Everyone was talking about it. Someone went up to challenge the condensation frost. And the result was naturally no suspense, a direct defeat. Buzz. At this time, an extremely strong sword force suddenly erupted from the crowd. A swordsman jumped onto the ring, looked at Ling Feng coldly, and said calmly, I am number 10 on the heavenly ranking, come and challenge little friend Ling Feng. The appearance of a strong person on the Tianbang list immediately brought the atmosphere to the top. This person is serious swordsman. I heard that this man's swordsmanship did not come from the great Zhou dynasty, but from other dynasties. He is very fierce and domineering. In terms of swordsmanship, few people can compare with him. Not only that, I heard that he was still a good friend with the previous leader of Tianwu sect, but the leader of Tianwu sect died in the hands of Ling Feng. It seems that the other party came to avenge the leader of Tianwu sect. I don't know what you can do. Can't succeed. I bet 100,000 taels, it's impossible. It's hard to say. After all, the other party is a strong person on the heavenly ranking. The powerful sword force rolled out, as fierce and domineering as a pack of wolves. Lang Ningxuang was defeated and was knocked back by this momentum. Suddenly, a wave of sword intent spread out, protecting her. Ling Feng slowly walked onto the ring and said calmly, Swordsman Sirius, I accept your challenge. Use your sword. You only have one chance. You are arrogant. The serious swordsman's face darkened slightly when he heard this. Without saying anything, he just slashed out with his sword. The powerful sword energy seemed to turn into a pack of wolves and bite towards Ling Feng. The shrill howl of wolves echoed across the world. Ling Feng saw it and stood still. He didn't even unsheath Kixing Longyuan. He just raised his hand slightly and then pointed his sword. SLA. The void seemed to be torn apart. A sword energy is like an immortal guiding the way, ethereal and unpredictable. Thousands of wolves were wiped out in the blink of an eye. A figure vomited blood, flew out like a cannonball, and quickly smashed into the crowd. It turned out to be the wolf swordsman, defeated by a sword. Everyone was stunned. The strong man on the heavenly list can be defeated with just one sword strike. This kind of strength can only be described in 2 words. Abnormal. Feng Zhengyang's expression became solemn and solemn. What a powerful and exquisite swordsmanship. Even I may not be able to block this sword. He couldn't help but think of Lu Rusi and sighed, his master is already a pervert. I didn't expect that this apprentice would be so generous. What a terrible master and disciple. In the arena, Ling Feng, dressed in white as snow, stood proudly, with a hint of disappointment on his brows. So, this is the one who is strong on the heavenly list. Only now does he know how strong he is. In the great Zhou dynasty, except for his own master, he can be said to be invincible. Who else is willing to come on stage to receive advice? Ling Feng looked at the countless sword cultivators under the ring and asked lightly. For a while, there was dead silence. No one dared to answer. Joke. The strong men on the heavenly list can be killed instantly with one sword, so what are they going to do? Delivering food. Ling Feng raised his eyebrows and saw that no one was on stage. He pondered for a moment and then said, You can come together from the 3 major sects. When the disciples of the 3 major sects heard this, their faces were livid with anger. Mad. It's so crazy. How could there be such an arrogant guy? Don't stop me, let me go up. Forget it, don't go looking for death. Please bear with the calm for a while. He provokes us so much, are we so indifferent? How about you come up? Although the disciples of the 3 major sects were angry, they couldn't help but feel frightened when they thought of Ling Fang's ability to instantly kill the strong men on the heavenly ranking with one sword. Fear suppresses anger. Keep them from taking the stage. Ling Fang hesitated for a moment. How about I give you a hand? If that doesn't work, I can stand still. He kept taunting. At this time, the system prompt sounded. Ding! It was detected that the host was drawing hatred and mocking the disciples of the three major sects. The hatred value of the three major sects skyrocketed. They were so arrogant and arrogant. I loved it. Reward the host with the art of exhaling breath into a sword. Closing square bracket. Ling Feng was slightly stunned. Can you get rewards this way? Never mind. Anyway, the system rewards are not based on common sense. Ling Feng, don't be too arrogant. If you have the ability, just tie your hands and feet and let us beat you. At this time, a sect disciple couldn't help but said loudly. As soon as this statement came out, everyone was in an uproar. I go, which sect's disciple is this, so shameless? Everyone looked at it, but seeing that the other party was from the Tianwu sect, the other party also knew that what he said was a bit too much. He blushed, but he still said bravely, aren't you very arrogant? If you have the ability, don't use your hands and feet. I'll go, you really dare to say that? I have never seen such a shameless person. Why don't you let my junior brother commit suicide? Tisk, tisk, it turns out that the disciples of Tianwu sect have this kind of virtue. Ji Yu Linglong, Lang Ningshuang and others couldn't help but become furious. How can you agree to such conditions? Some people shook their heads and said speechlessly. Okay, Ling Feng's voice sounded. Sure enough, he refused. What did he say? Okay. Everyone who originally thought Ling Feng would refuse looked at him. There was a deep look of disbelief in his eyes. He actually agreed to such unreasonable and ridiculous conditions. The Tianwu sect disciple who made the request was also stunned. No way. Is this okay? Ling Feng nodded slightly and continued. Not only do I not use my hands and feet, but I also allow you to come together. But I have a condition. If you still can't defeat me like this, how about each family paying me White Cloud Sect 100,000 supreme grade spiritual stones? Hearing this, everyone hesitated. 100,000 supreme grade spiritual stones. It is also a big burden for a top sect. Seeing that everyone was still hesitant, Ling Feng continued. No way, I have already tied my hands and feet, and you still don't dare to fight me. Are you so afraid of me? Do you want to be such a coward? What's the point of practicing martial arts like this? Why don't we all go home and farm together? Ling Feng continues to output taunts. Everyone's faces were ashen and their anger reached its peak. I'm so angry. An old man finally couldn't hold himself back anymore. Okay, I promise you. I don't believe you can defeat us without using your hands and feet. His momentum exploded, showing off the cultivation of a top martial king. It's not just him. The other sect disciples and elders also rushed out one after another. I am so angry. How can a scholar endure it? Fight him. I don't believe it. He doesn't use his hands and feet anymore, so we can't do anything to him. If that's the case, we might as well hit him to death with a piece of tofu. That's right. Come together and destroy him. One by one, the sect disciples rose into the sky and burst out with sword energy. Among them are martial arts masters, and even martial arts king-level masters. There were 200 to 300 people. Their eyes were red and angry, and they stared at Ling Feng fiercely, as if they were looking at the enemy who killed his father, and flew away instantly. All kinds of sword energy and sword techniques were intertwined into a dense sword network that was airtight and had no way out, and strangled Ling Feng. The power is so terrifying that even the martial lord will be killed. Not to mention, Ling Feng also promised not to use hands or feet. What is the difference between this and waiting for death? Do they not believe that under such circumstances, the other party can still defeat them? Junior brother, let me go, these people are really taking action. Junior brother is too cruel to ridicule. Ji Yu Linglong, Lang Ningshuang and others were anxious and wanted to step forward to support. But Ling Feng waved his sleeves, and a soft true qi surged out, isolating a few people behind him. He only saw a faint smile. Just watch. Facing the encirclement and attack by hundreds of swordsmen, he stood still. Then, he suddenly took a deep breath. In an instant, The spiritual energy of heaven and earth roared crazily, gathering towards him. Then he opened his mouth and spit it out. True chi spiritual energy turned into boundless sword energy, spurting out from his mouth like a hurricane that destroyed the world. Wherever he went, even the void seemed to be cut with cracks. The sword net intertwined by hundreds of swordsmen was easily torn and shattered in front of this breath, and each swordsman was blown away. Those with weaker cultivation levels fell on the spot with this tone. Between heaven and earth, because of Ling Feng's breath, the wind roared and the heaven and earth roared. Hundreds of swordsmen fell to the ground like rain. Everyone was dripping with blood. Even other strong men with king-level martial arts are no exception. For a moment, except for Ling Feng, there was not a single figure standing on the stage. Swordsmen were all lying around him. And this is just because of his breath. Exhale and become a sword. Such methods made everyone gasp. Some people even rubbed their eyes, unable to believe what was happening in front of them. I'm not dazzled, right? Is this really possible? No way, no way. There can't be such an outrageous thing in the world, right? To blow down hundreds of swordsmen in one breath. What kind of martial arts is this? Everyone's worldview has been impacted like never before. Even a powerful person like Feng Zhengyang was stunned. Zhuang, Master, do you know what kind of martial arts this is? An elder asked in shock. I know, that's bullshit. The corner of the hidden sword manner's mouth twitched. He had never heard of this kind of martial arts, let alone seen it. Everyone, when you go back, please prepare 100,000 spirit stones and deliver them to White Cloud sect within 7 days. Otherwise, I don't mind visiting you. Ling Feng looked at the people lying on the ground wailing with a smile. But at this time, in the eyes of everyone, his smile was no different from that of a devil. In ancient rumors, there is a fairy who can exhale wind and rain. Now it seems that it is not a fiction. Someone couldn't help but sigh. Exhale the breath to become a sword. There is such a magical martial arts in the world. This time I come to the sword conference. Just seeing this kind of martial arts makes my trip worthwhile. Ling Feng, this person will become the legend of martial Dao of Great Zhou dynasty. Defeat hundreds of sword cultivators in one breath. Da Zhou, no one in the world can do it except him. Ling Feng walked off the ring with a smile. In fact, I was feeling a little emotional inside, the power of exhaling breath into a sword. This is not even considered martial arts. This is a magic. Ding. Closing square bracket. Congratulations to the host for getting the answer right. Exhaling breath to form a sword is a spell that is superior to ordinary martial arts. Reward the host with the power of 10 elephants. Closing square bracket. The system sound sounded again. No way, I just made a rant, can you give me a reward? Ling Feng felt speechless as he felt the surge of energy and blood in his body. But when I think about the system, I can't help but think deeply. It turns out there is magic in this world. Really. Practicing martial arts is still inferior to cultivating immortality. No, it should be said that the end of martial Dao is to cultivate immortality. He thought about Lu Rusi again. She was the reincarnation of an immortal in the sky. He didn't know if she knew magic. Ling Feng planned to ask after he went back. On the ring, swordsmen who fell to the ground were cleared away one by one. The sword discussion conference continues. But after seeing Ling Feng's power of exhaling breath into a sword again, no one could stand to watch other people's competition. No matter how you compare it, it's just like that. None of them were as shocking as Ling Feng's breath turning into a sword. The scene of hundreds of sword cultivators falling like rain will be deeply engraved in their minds for the rest of their lives. The 2 words Ling Feng will also become the nightmare of the 3 major sects. After watching more than a dozen competitions, Ling Feng yawned and lost interest. There is no need for him to take the stage again in this sword discussion conference. After all, no one is his opponent. But it's okay to leave it to Ji Yu Linglong and a few others to practice. Suddenly, the entire hidden sword villa suddenly shook, and the ground cracked, and from the cracked ground, black air spewed out. Everyone's expressions changed wildly. Although they didn't know what the black energy was, they knew it wasn't something good at first glance, so they quickly dodged. But there were still people who couldn't avoid it and were hit by the black energy. Then he went crazy on the spot, yelled, and attacked all around indiscriminately. What's going on? Why is there such a thing? Everyone frantically avoided the black energy, as well as those martial artists affected by the black energy. Ling Feng couldn't help but frown slightly, feeling surprised. I didn't expect that such a change would occur in the sword discussion conference. As the owner of Hidden Sword Villa, Feng Zhengyang thought of something, and his expression suddenly changed. Could it be that it's not good? He turned around and rushed towards the depths of the villa. Everyone was a little confused when they saw this. Hey, you are the master here. Something happened now. Why did you leave us alone? Junior brother, what should we do now? Ji Yu Linglong and others looked at Ling Feng and regarded him as their backbone. Ling Feng looked at the increasingly dense black air around him with a hint of curiosity in his eyes. Although he wanted to investigate, he thought that Ji Yu Linglong and others were still around, so for their safety, he had to leave first. If a gentleman doesn't stand behind a dangerous wall, he should leave first. Ling Feng said lightly, but just as he was about to leave, he saw the spreading black air around him suddenly surge and turn into a black wall, blocking his way. Look around again. Many martial artists had their escape routes blocked by the black energy. Seeing this strange black energy getting closer and closer, everyone was anxious and even despairing. At this time, Ling Feng suddenly thought of something and opened his eyes of insight. Information about the black energy emerged one by one. The chi of the evil heart demonic sword. Closing square bracket. This breath can confuse the mind and drive people into madness. The host can use Haoran's righteousness to break it. Closing square bracket. Ling Feng's eyes lit up, and then he took a step forward. With a thought, a strong white light bloomed from his body. The awe-inspiring righteousness is like a happy wind sweeping thousands of miles away. The black air flows, confusing the martial artist's mind. All martial artists who are contaminated with black energy fall into madness, without any sense, and attack the surrounding martial artists crazily. Just when everyone is helpless against this black energy, one person stood up, dressed in white clothes like snow. He looked like a banished immortal descending to earth. He was filled with awe-inspiring righteousness, and a white light shrouded his body, making him appear holy and holy. The awe-inspiring aura swept out like a happy wind. Wherever it goes, the black air gradually dissipates. Even those martial artists who were confused by the black energy gradually returned to normal under the influence of Haoran's righteous energy, looking around with some confusion. I have no idea what just happened. They only saw Ling Feng not far away, who was filled with righteousness, like the light of the righteous path. For a moment, they were stunned. Am I seeing a god? Even the disciples of the three major sects who were swept away by Ling Feng just now couldn't help but feel convinced when they looked at each other. Haoran is upright, dignified and upright. Wherever it passes, evil spirits will disperse. Ling Feng opened his mouth and exhaled, and used the art of exhaling the breath into a sword again, in which the awe-inspiring aura of the integrated union swept out, completely dispersing the surrounding black energy. Junior brother, how many surprises do you have that we don't know about? Ji Yu Linglong exclaimed. If I'm not mistaken, this should be the legendary Haoran righteousness. According to rumors, this kind of aura can only be possessed by upright and open-minded gentlemen. I didn't expect that my junior brother would have such a majestic Haoran righteousness. Junior brother, you are not saint alive, are you? Feng Xiaoyao couldn't help but sigh. The others looked at Ling Feng with deep admiration in their eyes. This moment, Ling Feng was labeled as a gentleman and saint as alive. Kindness, justice, self-sacrifice for others, above board. They kept pouring all kinds of compliments on Ling Feng. After all, Haoran's righteousness won't lie. The disciples and elders of the three major sects looked at Ling Feng with extremely complicated expressions. They never imagined that Ling Feng, whom they regarded as a devil, a madman, and a despicable villain, would actually have such a righteousness. Doesn't this make it seem like they are the villains? That's all. It's better not to be Ling Feng's enemy in the future. I feel a little ashamed to be the enemy of such a gentleman. Guilt appeared on the faces of some sect disciples. Ling Feng couldn't help but be surprised when he noticed this. Be good. The effect of Haoran's righteousness is so obvious. It must be great for brainwashing. At this time, I saw that the black energy that had been dispelled actually emerged from the ground again. Ling Feng knew that the source of the black energy was not here, and it was useless to dispel the black energy. Only by dealing with its source could it be contained. You leave first, I'll go find the owner of the village to find out the reason. Ling Feng said to everyone. Good, junior brother, you must be careful. Everyone also knew that with their cultivation level, if they stayed here, they would probably hinder Ling Feng, so they had to leave first. After Ling Feng sent everyone away, he headed towards the depths of Hidden Sword Villa. Hidden Sword Villa. Inside an underground sword tomb. A black magic sword was inserted into a sword pool, and next to the magic sword, there was a sword that was as white as jade. Unlike the magic sword, this sword exudes light. Trying to contain the aura of the magic sword. Haha, the sword of light built by the ancestors of the Feng family is indeed impressive. No wonder it has been able to suppress the demon sword for so many years. It's a pity that the demon sword now has the power of the 10,000 spirits blood bead, and you can't suppress it anymore. Next to the sword pool, a white-haired old man laughed. In his hand, he held a blood-red bead the size of a fist, and the bead was exuding blood energy and constantly integrating into the dark magic sword. The demonic energy of the demon sword continues to increase, gradually suppressing the sword of light. The entire sword tomb looked extremely strange because of this terrifying demonic energy, like a forest hell, which made people shudder. At this time, a figure rushed into the sword tomb, and a sword intent spread out. The white-haired old man looked around and saw Feng Zhengyang, furious, staring at him with cold eyes, but he didn't care. You are finally here. It's you, the top of the list of villains, the Great Evil King. The Great Evil King, top of the list of evildoers, a top powerhouse who has been famous for many years, practices a terrifying demonic skill that specializes in absorbing the essence and blood of others. Over the years, thousands of martial artists have died at the hands of the other side. There are countless ordinary people. It has always been Dazhou's biggest cancer. Feng Zhengyang, your sword hidden villa is really stupid. You have such a powerful weapon and don't use it, but you just sealed it in the sword tomb. If you can get the help of this sword, it will be easy for your Feng family to change the dynasty and unify the world. The Great Evil King smiled, looking at the magic sword with feverish eyes. You are the real fool. This magic sword cannot be controlled by humans. Once it comes into contact, it will be controlled by it. And once it becomes a puppet of the sword, it will harm the people. Otherwise, why do you think my ancestor of the Feng family sealed it? Nonsense. How can I, the mighty Saint Realm warrior, be controlled by a sword? Besides, harming the common people. Common people, what does it have to do with me? As long as I can master this power and kill all the common people, what's the problem? The Great Evil King sneered. Feng Zhengyang's eyes narrowed, and then he remembered that the other party was at the top of the list of villains. He did all kinds of evil, and it was completely useless to talk to him about the common people. If that's the case, then today, you will be executed right here. Feng Zhengyang unsheathed the long sword at his waist. With one sword slash, the sword energy is like a dragon, very domineering. The Great Evil King did not show any weakness, and blasted out with a palm. With a bang, the sword energy and palm energy collided, and the entire sword tomb was buzzing and shaking. Both sides are strong men with saint-level martial arts, and a fight will be shocking. During the fight, the 10,000 spirits blood bead in the hand of the Great Evil King fell into the sword pool. When Feng Zhengyang saw this, his face darkened. The 10,000 spirits blood bead. It is an evil object that needs to absorb the blood essence and blood of 10,000 people to be refined. You deserve to die. They are just a bunch of untouchables. They use their deaths to awaken the demon sword. This is their glory. The Great Evil King sneered. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At this time, the magic sword in the sword pool emitted bursts of sword chants. This sound is like the wailing of thousands of ghosts, giving people a splitting headache. On the side, the sword of light could no longer suppress the demon sword. The light gradually dimmed, and the sword cracked and shattered. As the sword of light shattered, the demon sword flew out of the sword pool. Then it fell directly into the hands of the Great Evil King. After getting the demon sword, the aura of the Great Evil King surged from his body. The violent evil energy True Qi mixed together and surged out, knocking Feng Zhengyang out. This is the power of the magic sword, it is really powerful. Now, even if the sky-splitting sword master who is number 1 on the heavenly ranking comes, I am confident that I can kill him in front of me. The Great Evil King laughed. His eyes gradually turned dark, like a demon with a sword. Suddenly, outside the sword tomb, a burst of awe-inspiring righteousness poured in. The surrounding evil spirits were dispersed by the righteous energy, and the demon sword in the hand of the great evil king buzzed and trembled as if it had encountered a natural enemy. The great evil king looked outside the sword tomb and said coldly, "Who is it?" "Your grandpa," Ling Feng said indifferently and walked in slowly. "He is full of righteousness, like a banished immortal, and even more like a saint." Ling Feng walked into the sword tomb. He was full of righteousness, causing the evil energy to flow around him, and he did not dare to get close. The evil heart demon sword in the hand of the great evil king felt like a natural enemy, and was trembling constantly. The great evil king looked at Ling Feng, with a look in his eyes. A trace of fear appeared. "Boy, where are you from? Didn't you tell me? Your grandfather court death." The scarlet eyes of the great evil king burst out with an extremely ferocious gaze. Regardless of Ling Feng's background, he held the magic sword and slashed at the opponent. Buzz! The sword energy pierced the air, as if it was about to tear the void apart. The evil spirits are so strong that they create a scene of hell. When Ling Feng saw this, he snorted softly, and the 7-star-long yuan on his waist was instantly unsheathed. Flying immortal sword art. The sword energy is like an immortal guiding the way, elusive and unpredictable. And among them, integrated union has the power of Haoran's righteousness. With a bang, sword energy impacted, and the entire sword tomb shook crazily. The surrounding mountain walls are cracked and may collapse at any time. "Master, retreat first," Ling Feng said calmly, leading Feng Zhengyang out of the sword tomb. The moment they walked out of the sword tomb, there was a bang. The sword tomb completely collapsed into ruins, and the great evil king was buried in it. However, the two did not think that the other would die so easily. Really, a shocking sword energy erupted from the ruins, soaring into the sky, seeming to penetrate the entire sky. From the ruins, the evil king holding the demon sword slowly walked out, and the scarlet color in his eyes became even stronger. "He has been controlled by the magic sword," Feng Zhengyang said with a cold expression. "Nonsense, I feel great now. Such power is so intoxicating." The great evil king laughed loudly, his face full of joy. Then, he locked eyes with Ling Feng and said, "Boy, I don't care who you are, but your awe-inspiring righteousness makes me feel disgusted. So you must die here today." After saying that, his aura continued to rise, becoming more and more terrifying. He even directly suppressed Feng Zhengyang. Ling Feng stood next to Feng Zhengyang, and the ninefold sword intent erupted directly. For a moment, everything in the world turned into sword energy in his hand. Fight against the great evil king and the magic sword in his hand. "There is only one kind of person in this world who hates me." "Oh, who?" "Scum," Ling Feng said lightly. "How could a man as handsome as him and with such a sense of justice be hated by others? Surely only scum would hate him. The evil king in front of us is at the top of the list of evildoers. Scum among scum. Boy, provoking me again and again will only make your death worse." The evil king said coldly. He held his sword and charged towards Ling Feng again. But before Ling Feng could take action, Feng Zhengyang took the lead to meet him, and the long sword in his hand collided solidly with him. With a sonorous sound, the sound of gold and iron echoed around the world. The 9 heavens thunder, which ranked 5th in the famous sword manual in Feng Zhengyang's hand, was suddenly struck with a gap. He was startled and felt a little desperate in his heart. The great evil king holding a magic sword, "Da Zhou, I'm afraid no one can be his opponent." He looked at Ling Feng with a hint of expectation in his eyes. "Little friend Ling Feng, with your talent and strength, you will definitely have a chance to defeat him in the future, hurry up." "What about you, owner? If I stay, even if I can't defeat him, I will at least find a way to severely injure him so that he can no longer cause harm to the people in a short period of time," Feng Zhengyang said with firm eyes. Ling Feng showed admiration. The owner of the village is so willing to sacrifice his life for righteousness, which is admirable. Although the junior is not as good as the senior, I hope to fight side by side with you. You, sigh. I should have thought of it a long time ago. With such great righteousness in you, how could you ignore the dangers of others? Feng Zhengyang sighed and looked at Ling Feng with admiration in his eyes. This was the first time that he felt sincerely convinced by a junior. This young man in front of me is worth it. Ding. Closing square bracket. The host refuses to give in when facing the evil spirit, with a strong sense of justice. The system is really touched and rewards the host with a weapon enhancement card. Closing square bracket. Ling Feng was slightly startled. Weapon enhancement card, what is this? Weapon strengthening card can strengthen any weapon in the host's hand. Can I make my 7-star dragon abyss stronger than that magic sword? Not necessarily. The enhancement multiplier of the weapon enhancement card is random. The chance of being doubled is 100%, the chance of being doubled is 50%, the chance of being tripled is 25%. If you want to be stronger than that magic sword, you must at least strengthen the 7 stars dragon abyss 10 times. The probability of this multiple is 2.5%. Ling Feng heard this and said, "It seems a bit difficult." "Forget it, let's try our luck. Even if it doesn't become 10 times stronger, I'm still confident to deal with this guy." Do you want to use the weapon enhancement card on Kixing Ryuan? Closing square bracket. Yes, weapon enhancement card is in use. The strengthening card is used successfully, and the 7-star Longyuan is successfully strengthened 100 times. Closing square bracket. Ling Feng was stunned for a moment. System, can you explain to me what it means to be strengthened 100 times? Doesn't it mean that the probability of being strengthened tenfold is only 2.5%? How low is the probability that you will be strengthened 100 times? I succeeded by such a coincidence. Wow, host, you are so lucky, you can actually strengthen it 100 times. The chance is only 0.00%. 25%. Closing square bracket. The system exclaimed. System, let's be honest, have you changed the magnification? System. The sudden silence of the system made the corners of Ling Feng's mouth twitch slightly. This system must be rigged. Ha ha ha, it's so touching. If that's the case, then no one of you two can leave today, just die here. The great evil king laughed and rushed towards Ling Feng first. The opponent's awe-inspiring righteousness has a restraining effect on him. Is the priority to be solved? But Feng Zhengyang would not let him get what he wanted. He stood in front of Ling Feng, swung the long sword in his hand, and the fierce swordsmanship roared out. Sonorous, sonorous. After several collisions, the 9 heavens thunder, 5th in the famous sword spectrum, broke directly. Feng Zhengyang was also thrown away by the sword energy, vomiting blood. Now it is your turn. The great evil king laughed and slashed down with his sword. Ling Feng did not retreat, and directly faced Long Yuan with the 7 stars in his hand. Idiot, the 9 heavens thunder, which ranks 5th in the famous sword manual, was broken by me. How can you, the 7th ranked 7-star dragon abyss, stop me? The great evil king had a ferocious smile on his face, as if he had seen the bloody scene of cutting Kixing Longyuan and Ling Feng in half. Sonorous. There was a loud bang. A section of the sword flew out and stuck on the ground. But it was not the 7-star Longyuan that was broken, but the evil heart demon sword. The smile on the great evil king's face froze. He looked at the 7-star Longyuan in Ling Feng's hand with confusion on his face. How is this possible? Your magic sword is a bit fragile. Ling Feng mocked. The 7-star Longyuan waved it casually. In an instant, the sword energy danced wildly, and the sword body erupted with a roar of dragons. A domineering sword pressure filled the world. The entire city of 10,000 swords was shaken by it. Thousands of long swords rose into the sky and bent their swords in the direction of Ling Feng. It was actually a vision of thousands of swords worshipping. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.